Chapter 865. When everyone saw the third set of documents, they understood what was going on. No matter how good the hacker was, he wouldn't be able to make money from the company's finances in just a few days. Only when the person in charge of the company signed the agreement to transfer the money from the finance department would the hacker take advantage of this gap and secretly steal the money. Then, he would transfer the money out of the bank account. To be honest, this method wasn't very smart. No one knew why Huasi signed the document. Huasi was also dumbfounded. He remembered that he was having an affair with the company's female assistant in the office. Later, the two discussed this matter. Since the female assistant had been working at the company for a long time, she knew more about it. Huasi had always been ridiculed by his rich friends for not being generous with his money, so he wanted to avenge himself. However, he didn't think that he would get into trouble. He thought that 60 million wasn't a lot of money and that at most, his mother would help him pay it back. However, he didn't think that Huasi would take the opportunity to put the missing 300 million on him. This made him speechless. Dad. I was wrong. I shouldn't have listened to that woman, Chi Jili. She gave me the idea, Chi Jili. Hua Zhenghai looked at him coldly. Oh, that's Xi's personal assistant. She's been working at the company for 3 years. She's quite a literary person, but she resigned 3 days ago. I checked and she's no longer in the country. I don't know where to start. She probably ran away. Ridiculous. Huasi, how dare you? Hua Zhenghai was so angry that he almost had a heart attack when he heard that his youngest son and his female assistant cheated him out of so much money. Xi, you're such a fool. Why didn't you discuss this with Mom? Xinjiani was angry and hateful when she saw her son being set up, but she couldn't say anything about it. My dear brother. 60 million is a small amount, but 400 million is a big amount. This money doesn't just belong to the Hua family, it also belongs to the other shareholders. If you don't give us the money, once they catch you, you'll go to jail. You have to think about it, you're still young. Huasi tried his best to scare Huasi, trying to break him down. Indeed, Huasi was a coward to begin with, so there was no way he would be able to withstand such threats. Mom. I was wrong. Please help me. I did spend that 60 million yuan. You should have a lot of money in the past few years. Help me make up for it, okay? I don't want to go to jail. Nonsense. What are you talking about? Xinjiani's face turned green. Hui Yanyan and Huasi were the only ones who knew about Hua Mian's secret stash of money, not even Hua Zhenghai. Now that she had been exposed in public, where was she supposed to put her face? Hua Zhenghai glanced at Xinjiani with a complicated expression, as if he was slightly disappointed. Zhenghai, don't listen to this kid, he just said the wrong thing in a hurry. I don't have any secret stash, Xinjiani explained. So what about now? See, are you going to tell us where the money is, or do you want to go to jail? Huasi continued to make things difficult for Huasi. Hua Min watched everything calmly. She saw Hua Zhenghai's anger, Xinjiani's confusion, Hui Yanyan's confusion, and Huasi's begging. She suddenly felt like the saying, every dog has its day. Back in the day, the Hua family was so arrogant. After Xinjiani successfully married into the Hua family, she humiliated Hua Min's mother in front of the media many times. Also, Huasi and Hui Yanyan were born with a sense of superiority. They felt like they were priceless, while Xinjiani was like dirt. Today, she was finally in such dire straits. Of course, this was all thanks to Huasi's good move. Hua Min's guess was right. She knew it was a trap when she nominated Huasi as the vice president during the last meeting, where Zhenghai thought that his little ado could finally be given an important role. It seemed like he was getting old, and his brain wasn't as sharp as before. I didn't take 400 million, I told you. I only took 60 million. Why don't you believe me? Huasi stood up and yelled at everyone. It seemed like he was in a complete mess. Chapter 866. Son, calm down. Let's talk things out. Shinjiani's heart ached. Why are you forcing me, huh? Why are you all forcing me? I didn't take that much. It's only 60 million yuan. I'm the young master of the Hua family, what's wrong with spending money? My dad used to tell me not to be so wasteful and wouldn't give me any money. Every time I hung out with my friends, they would laugh at me for being stingy. I've had enough. If you guys want to sue me, then I'll go to jail. There's no point in living like this. I'm not a man at all. I'd rather die. And you, Huasichen, I know you don't like me. You and Huamin both hate me and want to see me make a fool of myself. Fine, then call the police and arrest me, I don't care anymore. Really, I'm not afraid of you anymore. Huasi was so agitated that he decided to go all out. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared. Okay, since things have escalated to this point, I'll have to call the people from the prosecutor's office. Although you're my little brother, I have to do things according to the law. Then, Huasichen picked up his phone and tried to make a call. Shinjiani immediately stopped him. President Hua, don't call yet. Director Shin, please don't make things difficult for me. I'm the president of the company. I can't cover up for anyone. I have to give the company an explanation. Please don't call, I'll pay for CE. Shinjiani said with tears in her eyes. This is 400 million yuan, not 40 million yuan. Director Shin, are you sure? Hua Xichen smiled. I'll think of a way, give me 3 days, Shinjiani said with difficulty. Huamin had never seen Shinjiani like this before. It seemed like no matter how bad a woman was, she would always treat her children well. If she took out 400 million yuan now, she would be helping Huasi pay for his losses. She would also lose Hua Xinghai's trust. After all, hiding money was taboo between husband and wife. Plus, 400 million yuan wasn't a small amount. After she took it out, she probably wouldn't have much left. Hua Xiqian's move was ruthless, sacrificing the rook to save the king. He used the cruelest move in Chinese chess. To make Shinjiani bleed so much just to protect her son, she had also lost Hua Xinghai's trust, which was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. His goal wasn't to put Huasi in jail. His real target was Shinjiani. If that's the case. Alright, I'm not an unreasonable person. I hope Director Shin can keep his word. 400 million, in 3 days. Hua Xichen said slowly. I will keep my promise. Mom, where are we going to get 400 million yuan? Are you crazy? Why did you agree to his request? Hui Yanyan could no longer remain calm. She knew how much savings her mother had, so she was very anxious for her mother. It was impossible for her mother to have 400 million. Shut up. Shinjiani glanced coldly at Hui Yanyan. The way Hua Xinghai looked at Shinjiani was filled with many emotions, most of which were disappointment and distrust. Huasi immediately calmed down when he heard that his mother would take the blame. Mom, why did you take out 400 million yuan? I only spent 60 million. Huasi was still struggling with the amount of money. Let's talk about it when we get home. Shinjiani took a deep breath and stood up to leave. That's all for today. I'll give everyone an explanation in 3 days. Then, Hua Xichen announced the end of the meeting. Hua Xinghai, Shinjiani, Hui Yanyan, and Huasi left the company in a hurry. Huamin also walked downstairs. Mian. What is it? Huamin turned around. Are you happy today? It's okay. Ha. I knew you enjoyed watching it. What do you think of my idea? Pretty ruthless, Huamin commented. If you're not ruthless to your enemies, you're being cruel to yourself. Okay, whatever you say makes sense. Huasi took the blame beautifully. Do you want to know where the remaining 300 million yuan went? I don't, TSK, you sure don't give me face. You haven't eaten yet, right? Let's go, I'll treat you to dinner to celebrate. Don't be so high profile. Aren't you afraid that they'll find out? So what if they find out? Can't we eat together? Plus, Xinjiani has to raise 400 million yuan in 3 days. It's enough for her to deal with us, she doesn't have time to deal with us. You sure know how to predict things. You knew she didn't have 400 million yuan, and you knew she would take the blame. You sure know how to trick people. So, Mian, are you complimenting me? Are you complimenting me? Or are you complimenting me? Hua Xiqian was in a great mood, and his gaze towards Huamin was filled with warmth. Chapter 867. Then take it as a compliment. After speaking, Huamin turned to leave. Hey, aren't you going to eat with me? I'm going home to keep my husband company. What a heartless girl. Hua Xiqian watched as her slim figure disappeared into the distance. One day, she would stay by his side and eat with him, right? He narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. On his way home that night, Huamin called Qin Chu and found out that he was still working overtime, so he drove straight to GK. However, to his surprise, he ran into Song Yisher at the entrance of GK. The white Audi Q5 followed behind her, and Huamin saw that she was carrying a lunchbox. Huamin, you're here. Song Yisher smiled and greeted him. Huamin nodded, then, he looked at the lunchbox in her hand. She immediately understood and explained, I came over from Mama Qin's place. Mama Qin said that Qin Chu has been working overtime recently and has been working overtime, so she asked me to bring him some supper. Why are you the one bringing him supper? Oh, because I visit Mama Qin a lot. When I come back, she asked me to bring him some supper. You're not thinking too much, are you? Of course not, I mean, you're so busy, so I'm really sorry for asking you to do these things. Not at all, Mama Qin treats me like family. You don't have to be so polite. Then, the two of them chatted and laughed as they walked into GK's headquarters. Hello, a young lady. Hello, a young lady. Along the way, all the employees greeted him, and Huamin smiled and nodded in response. Song Yisher smiled and asked, do they all know you? Yeah, because I'm always here. Oh, that's good. Everyone seems to like you. Song Yisher smiled dryly. No, they don't like me. They only like me because of Qin Chu, Huamin replied generously. Song Yisher did not expect Huamin to be so direct. She was slightly stunned at first, then, he smiled. That makes sense. When the two of them came in together, Qin Chu was a little surprised. Before he could speak, Huamin said, I met Miss Song at the entrance, so we came up together. Qin Chu. Mama Qin asked me to bring this to you. It's an osmanthus cake that she made herself. It's the kind that we all loved to eat when we were kids. She made it herself. Song Yisher said as she put the lunchbox on Qin Chu's desk. However, Qin Chu did not look at it. His gaze was completely focused on Huamin. Honey, have you eaten? No, I wanted to eat with you. Huamin sat down on the sofa tiredly. Come here, let me look at you. Qin Chu looked at her lovingly. Huamin slowly got up and walked over. He wrapped one arm around Huamin's waist and said, Give me 10 more minutes, then I'll take you to eat, okay? Okay. Hua Min nodded obediently. Song Yisher suddenly felt very awkward standing there. I'm going to go now, you guys go back to work. Okay, bye. Hua Min didn't want to pretend to ask Song Yisher to stay for dinner, because she didn't like her to begin with. So, he directly said goodbye to her. Qin Chu simply said goodbye, and Song Yisher reluctantly left. She didn't forget to remind him, Qin Chu, remember to eat Mama Qin's osmanthus cookies. She spent a lot of time making these, it's just a small token of her appreciation. Tell my mom not to make these anymore, and I haven't eaten these cookies in years, Qin Chu said word for word. What do you like to eat? I'll tell Mama Qin. It's okay, thank you for your kindness. Qin Chu directly rejected her. In the end, Song Yisher left in disappointment. The Qin clan couple was very good at torturing single people. Even Siyu couldn't stand it, let alone Song Yisher. After she got into the car, she sat alone in the car for a long time. She was jealous of Hua Min. Why was it that as long as she was around, Qin Chu would never look at anyone else? Why? She wasn't pretty, and she wasn't very likable. After Song Yisher left, Qin Chu sat down on his lap with Hua Min in his arms. Honey, I've taken care of Jixin's business. Hua Min bit down on his lips. He seemed very conflicted. Chapter 868. What's wrong? Are you unhappy to hear that he's leaving? Qin Chu hugged her gently and asked. No, it's his decision, and I don't want to interfere. Where is he going, and when is he leaving? New Zealand. It's a good university in Wellington, and his major is similar to his current one. The visa was approved, and he's leaving in 3 days. Already? Hua Min was surprised. I called him today, and he made his decision. Okay, I understand. Then let's go to your place for dinner, and spend some time with him before he goes abroad. Okay. Hua Min nodded. 10 minutes later, Qin Chu signed the rest of the documents and left with Hua Min. Honey, aren't you going to eat the osmanthus cake your mom brought you? Hua Min looked at the exquisite lunchbox on his desk. You like it, here you go. I don't want to eat it. Hua Min immediately refused. I don't like it either, she always makes decisions for me. I've never liked it, and I don't know why she thought of it. Then, Qin Chu picked up the lunchbox, and the two of them walked out. Sir, you're off work. Yeah, this is for you, it's a midnight snack. Thank you, sir. Yang was full of energy after coming back from vacation. He seemed to be more motivated than before, and Qin Chu wanted to train him. He thought that Yang was smart and reliable. After leaving the company, the two of them went to Sky Blessing Court. Jixin had already dropped out of school, and was packing his clothes at home. Although young Meirong didn't want her son to leave, she didn't stop him. She also thought that it was good for him to go out and relax. After all, he was only going to study abroad for a year or two, and it wouldn't be long. Why didn't you tell me you were coming back? I'll go make some more food. Mom, it's okay, we'll just have a bite, I'm not that hungry. Okay, I'll make some soup. Then, young Meirong turned around and went into the kitchen. Just then, Jixin came downstairs. Sis, brother-in-law. How's the packing going? Hua Min asked. We're almost done. We got everything from the school. Then, Jixin walked over to Qin Chu with a set of car keys. Brother-in-law. I'm returning this to you. Thank you for the car, but I'm not in China, so I don't need it. Keep it, I'll open it when you come back. Qin Chu said gently, this isn't a good idea. Alright, don't be so courteous with your brother-in-law. You can keep the key. It's not like you're never coming back, Huamin said sadly. Okay then. Jing Jixin nodded. After you go abroad, remember to call us. Call Mom more often. Keep in touch. I know. Remember not to walk at night, and don't sleep with your friends. After all, it's overseas, Huamin reminded her patiently. Call me if you run out of money. Don't try to save money and not feed yourself well. Sis. I got it. Also, you don't have a good stomach, so don't eat too much seafood. Even though it's cheap in Australia, if you eat too much, your stomach will get sick. Remember to drink more water. Sis. I'm an adult, I'm not a kid anymore. Jing Jixin smiled. Huamin covered her mouth and began to cry. She really didn't want Jixin to leave. Honey, what are you doing? Qin Chu hugged her shoulder, heartbroken. Sis, don't be sad. I'm going to school, not to suffer. I'll miss you and Mom. I'll take care of myself, so don't worry about me. Jixin's eyes turned red when he saw his sister like this. Yang Meirong, who had just walked out of the kitchen, saw this and started crying as well. Don't be like that, you too. I feel bad too. It's a good thing that he's going to school. Don't they all say that people who come back from abroad have a bright future? Why are you crying? If your Uncle Jing knew, he would be happy for Jixin, Yang Meirong said as she cried. In the end, the three of them hugged each other and cried. Qin Chu didn't know what to say. He felt bad just looking at them. Especially when Huamin was crying like this. The Hua mansion, it was already late at night, but the lights were still on. Tell me, where are you going to get 400 million in 3 days? Where are you going to get 400 million? Hua Zhenghai sat on the sofa with a teacup in his hand. He looked at Shinjiani with a serious expression on his face. Chapter 869. Shanghai. I don't have that much, but I can't just watch my son go to jail. He's your son too. Don't change the subject. Tell me, how much money have you saved over the years? Shanghai. Shinjiani began to act coquettishly, trying to bluff her way out of this. Answer me. I didn't do it on purpose, I just wanted to give us a way out. If something happens in the future, we won't have to live on the streets. Shinjiani explained quietly. So, how much money have you saved? Hua Si and Hui Yanyan sat on the side, not daring to make a sound. Jiang Hong had been staying at her parents' home for a while now, so it was much easier to ask questions since there were only a few people at home. Not much, only a little over 200 million, Shinjiani said quietly. Haha, only a little over 200 million. Shinjiani, I underestimated you, you're really something. Hua Zhenghai sneered. Zhenghai, it's not all cash, it's money I earned from some of my previous investments, stocks, and real estate. Not all of it belongs to our family. So, you have 200 million now, but you're still short of 100 million. What do you plan to do? Hua Zhenghai asked, word for word. Shanghai. Si is your son too, you can't just leave him in the lurch. Can you help us with the rest? Shinjiani reached out to grab Hua Zhenghai's hand, but he bounced it back. Don't even think about it. You want me to clean up after him. Why doesn't he think about me? Ha! How old is he? Did water get into his brain? How could he do something like this? Do you know how embarrassed I was at the board meeting today? Hua Zhenghai was furious. Dad. I didn't do it on purpose, I just, shut up. I'll deal with you later. After yelling at Hua Si, Hua Zhenghai looked at Shinjiani coldly. I won't take a single cent, or else I'll let him go to jail. How could you do this? We brought this upon ourselves. We've been too lenient on him all these years, but look at what he's become. He's in his 20s, so is Su Yu from Imperial Star, and Qin Chu from GK. They're worlds apart. Oh right. I almost forgot about it. Shanghai, can you talk to Huamin and ask Qin Chu to lend us 100 million yuan? Are you crazy? You want me to borrow money from them? Isn't she also your daughter? Now you know that she's my daughter. Didn't you say that she was just the child of a lowly woman, and that she might not even be my daughter? In fact, Shinjiani was the reason why Hua Zhenghai didn't acknowledge Huamin and her mother back then. He couldn't avoid her pillow talk and obstructing his plans. She was afraid that the Hua family would have one more person to split the family fortune with, but now that he was in trouble, he thought of Huamin. I was just mad at Yang Meirong. Shanghai, you can't abandon us. You know how greedy Hua Xiqin is. He's not even your biological son. Do you really expect him to help you manage GK? Are you okay with that? Shinjiani begged with tears in her eyes. She tried to soften Hua Zhenghai's heart. Even if he's not your biological son, he's still better than this wastrel. Hua Zhenghai was really angry. Shanghai, if you don't help us, we'll die, Dad. I'm begging you. Please help little brother. You can't abandon us. When I get married, I'll definitely find a rich family. I'll listen to you from now on. I'll marry whoever you want me to. Hui Yanyan also knelt on the ground and begged her father. Although she was brainless, she treated her brother well and didn't want him to go to jail. Even at a time like this, you still remember that you have me as your father. What were you doing earlier? Dad. I learned my lesson this time. It's definitely Hua Xiqian who set me up. I really don't know where the 300 million yuan went. As soon as Hua Xi finished speaking, Hua Zhenghai threw an ashtray at his head. Let me tell you, your stupidity lies in the fact that you were tricked and kept denying it. You didn't take precautions. Of course, with your brain, you wouldn't have been able to get away with 400 million, but you deserved it when you were accused. Dad. Hua Xi cried with snot running down his nose, not knowing what to do. Shanghai, do you think that Huamin and Hua Xiqian teamed up to set up our CE? Shinjiani suddenly thought of this question. Chapter 870. Hua Zhenghai's face darkened. Now's not the time to think about that. We need to figure out how to get the 400 million. Zhenghai, you're not really going to help us, right? Shinjiani's eyes were filled with tears. All these years, her gentleness had been like a poppy to Hua Zhenghai, making him addicted. This time was no exception. Even if he was angry, Hua Xi was still his son, his only son. Hua Zhenghai was silent for a while before he finally said, I can give you the money, but Xi has to step down and leave the Hua Corporation. Why? Shinjiani was shocked. Do you even need to ask? Hua Xiqian already has his eyes on him, and he could be the scapegoat at any time. If he continues to stay, he might cause more trouble. I was wondering why he was so kind as to let Xi be the vice president, so this is what he was planning. Hua Zhenghai slowly said. Shinjiani seemed to have a sudden realization. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have thought about it. So he was planning to set us up back then. Was Huamin in cahoots with him? I don't want to think about whether or not Huamin is in cahoots with him right now. Anyways, as the chairman, I have to give an explanation to the corporation. Give me the money, and see you will resign and leave the company. That way, we'll be safe. Dad. I'll listen to you. Hua Xi immediately nodded obediently. Now that you know how to listen to me, why didn't you do it earlier? Hua Zhenghai asked in annoyance. He lowered his head and didn't dare to speak. Hui Yanyan immediately got up from the ground when she saw that her father had agreed. She immediately massaged Hui Xinghai's shoulders. Dad, I knew you wouldn't abandon us. You love me and my brother the most. Don't run around for a while. Hurry up and go on blind dates. Hurry up and get married. Hua Xiqian is fully fledged now. We're not going to be a match for them. I'm worried that we'll have to end this war as soon as possible. Xinghai, you're saying. Shin Jiani didn't finish her sentence. Yes. Hua Xinghai nodded but didn't finish his sentence. However, his intentions were obvious. He wanted to start a war with Hua Xiqian and kick him out of the board of directors. I'll find time to convince Hua Min. As long as we start with Yang Meirong, everything will be easy. With Yang. With Qin Chu's help, things will be much easier. At this moment, Hua Zhenghai was still to get something to Hua to get to tattoos to Hua Min, thus, Hui Yanyan to Hua to Hua Xiang to the surveillance camera to Hua Xiqian to Hua Tu. He to Xingong to Hua, old man. You're getting old. You've really become muddle-headed. You still want to deal with me. You're really unrepentant. Hua Xiqian muttered to himself. You want Mian to help you. You must be dreaming. He continued to smile smugly. Everyone in the Hua mansion, including Hua Si and Hui Yanyan's phones, were secretly bugged. Hua Min was right. If someone like Hua Xiqian wanted to deal with them, it would be a piece of cake. The key was whether or not he wanted to. Just then, Mo Shui walked up from behind him in a bathrobe. Hua Xiqian didn't avoid her and continued to watch the surveillance camera. Are they still plotting against you? Yeah, isn't that one of their biggest dreams? Hua Xiqian smiled. I'm curious, does the old man not have any feelings for you after all these years? After all, you went to the Hua family at such a young age. Mo Shui wrapped her arms around Hua Xiqian's neck. Every time they spent the night together, she would have the illusion that he loved her. At the very least, he loved her when they were in bed. However, this feeling would gradually disappear after sex, and then she would start thinking about other things. Hua Xiqian was like a mystery to her. She couldn't figure him out, but she could never let go of him. Originally, she decided to go to the States and never come back. However, with one phone call from him, she obediently went to GK. She did it all to fulfill Hua Min's personal wish. She sacrificed her future and career just because she wanted to make Hua Xiqian happy. He's a selfish person. Even if I stay with him for 20 years, as long as I'm not his child, he'll still kick me away. But that's good, this way I won't have any psychological burden when dealing with them. I don't want them to use their affection to disgust me. After speaking, Hua Xiqian downed the glass of red wine in his hand. Mo Shui pressed her face tightly against Hua Xiqian's chin, intimately rubbing against his chiseled jaw. What happens after we get rid of them? Hua Min, what do you plan to do? Kick them out of the board of directors? Kick them out of the Hua Corporation? Mo Shui asked quietly. Chapter 871. Hua Xiqian reached out and unceremoniously removed Mo Shui's hands from his neck. Then, he turned around and looked at her with a faint smile on his face. Shui, you seem to be very interested in Hua Min. Yeah, very interested. Mo Shui smiled sweetly. Shui, you're a smart person. You've been with me for so long, you know what to do and what not to do. Don't test my limits again, and don't test me again. Also, don't harass Hua Min, it won't do you any good. After speaking, Hua Xiqian stood up and left. Xiqian. I didn't mean to. I just think that how I treat her has nothing to do with you, you're not my wife. Don't be so self-righteous. Also, don't try to figure out what I'm thinking. Don't do anything that will embarrass everyone. If you're happy together, then we'll be the same as before. If you're bored, then you can find someone else, and everyone will be okay with it. After speaking, Hua Xiqian slammed his wine glass on the wine cabinet in the study with a loud clang. It was obvious that he wasn't happy with Mo Shui. Mo Shui was a little scared of Hua Xiqian. The truth was, everyone thought that Hua Xiqian was always smiling and had a good temper. He treated his employees well at GK and rarely got angry. However, only Mo Shui knew the truth. Hua Xiqian's temper was extremely bad. It was only because he was able to tolerate it that most people didn't know about this side of him. Ever since Hua Min found out that Ji Xin was leaving, he had been in a bad mood. Even at work, he was in a daze. Hua Min, are you okay? Director Li asked. I'm fine. You don't look well. Have you been sleeping well? Director Li asked with concern. Ever since Hua Min came to the neurology department, she felt a lot more relaxed. This was because when she was in meetings, Hua Min could handle most of the work in the department. Director Li really liked Hua Min. This kind old lady really liked this talented and hardworking girl. It was as if she was looking at her younger self. Yeah, something happened at home recently, so I'm not in a good mood. Then do you want to take a few days off? There's no need. Our department has been busy recently. I won't be taking a break. Ever since he went to the Maldives and rested for almost a week, Hua Min was too embarrassed to ask for leave from Director Li or President Wu. She felt that it was inappropriate for her to go out and play when everyone was busy. Things were different now. She used to be a nurse, and her job responsibilities were not so heavy. Now, he had to be responsible for the patients and his colleagues. He could not just think about his own happiness. Most of the old employees at Southside knew that although Hua Min had married into a rich family, she still maintained the style of an ordinary person. She kept a low profile, wasn't ostentatious, wasn't boastful, and had contributed a lot to the South District. Most people liked her. Alright, if there's anything, just tell me. I'll arrange for someone else to take your place. Okay, thank you, Director. After a whole morning of seeing patients, Hua Min listlessly prepared to go to the cafeteria for lunch. However, she ran into Xia Wan at the entrance of the restaurant. Dr. Hua. Sister Xia, I haven't eaten yet either. Let's talk while we eat. Okay. Hua Min nodded. The two of them ordered food and sat in a corner of the cafeteria. How has Shui Shui been these days? Pretty good. Director Qi said he's recovering well. He's also very energetic. Will be discharged in 3 or 4 days. Okay, I've found a new house for you. Don't go back to your old place. It's not safe for you and Shui Shui. Plus, he's just recovered. It's dark and damp there, not suitable for recuperation. I've rented a small, 2-bedroom, 60-square-meter house for you in the new northern city. It's very close to the 14th school. Dr. Hua, I don't want to say too much about your kindness. I'll say it again, I can't repay your kindness. I'll remember all the good you've done for me and my son. I came today to tell you that I've thought about it. I plan to donate my liver to an Yang. Hua Min's eyes were filled with pleasant surprise. Sister Xie, you've thought about it. Yes, I've thought about it, but I have a request. What is it? Hua Min thought she would ask for money or something like that. After all, their lives were not guaranteed right now. Chapter 872. You can't tell an Yang that I'm donating my liver. Huh? Why not? Hua Min thought that if she told an Yang about Mrs. Xie's liver donation, maybe he would be touched and the mother and son would be able to forgive each other. However, Xia Wan suddenly told her not to tell an Yang. She didn't understand what was going on. Because I feel like I owe him too much. I don't want him to forgive me just because of this. I feel like I haven't done enough as a mother. You're right, I was too selfish in the past. We're both my sons, so why did I only love Shui Shui? It's not fair to An Yang. I was so ignorant, asking him for money and hurting him. I'm partly responsible for his illness. Miss Xia, don't blame me. I was really angry at the time. An Yang is a good kid, and so is Shui Shui. I really hope that you guys can be happy and talk things out as a family. I understand what you mean. As an outsider, not only did you help us with the money to treat his illness, but you also want to help us reconcile. I'm very happy about this, so I thought about it for a long time. I decided to donate my liver to him and cure his illness. Then, I'll slowly make up for everything. Okay, I understand. I respect your decision. Huamin was very happy that Xia Wan was willing to help An Yang. To be honest, she didn't have much confidence in the beginning and was afraid that Xia Wan would refuse. After all, humans were selfish creatures. It was indeed difficult for her to use her liver to help a son that she hadn't spoken to in years. Fortunately, she agreed in the end. Then you should go for a checkup in the afternoon when you have time. Do all the pre-surgery checkups. An Yang is already hospitalized in the VIP room on the top floor. Okay. Xia Wan nodded. Qin Manor, Qin Yuman was worried about Lady Qin's foot injury, so he flew back from Hawaii. When he got home that night, he saw Song Yisher, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Mr. Qin. She smiled. Yisher. Qin Yuman asked uncertainly. It's me, Mr. Qin. Why didn't you call me when you came back? Song Yisher makes dumplings with the maids of the Qin family. Her hands are full of white flour. Ever since she returned to China, she hardly went home. During the day, she spent most of her time with Lady Qin, playing golf, shopping, playing mahjong, drinking tea, arranging flowers, and so on. Fortunately, Song Yisher had a good temper and didn't get tired of Lady Qin's nagging. Aw. It's okay. I have a company driver to pick me up. Where is she? Mama Qin is doing a facial mask upstairs. She'll be down soon. When did you come back? I saw you last time when I went to Italy with your father. It's been 5 or 6 years, right? Qin Yuman sighed. Yeah. I was only in my early 20s back then. I was still young. Time flies, but you're still so young. You're just as handsome as before. Song Yisher smiled cutely. You little girl, you only know how to make me happy. Qin Yuman laughed heartily. Mama Qin has been talking about you. If she knew that you were back, she would be so happy. Song Yisher said with a smile. Just as she finished speaking, Lady Qin came downstairs in her nightgown. Oh, let me see who's back. Sir, did you come to the wrong place? Is this your home? Ha! Lady Qin said sourly. We're so old, is it fun to argue? Qin Yuman said helplessly. Chapter 873. It's fun. Aren't you very capable? Didn't you say you didn't want to stay with me and went to look for your cousins? What, they can't tolerate you anymore, so you want to go home? I can't handle your mouth. Qin Yuman felt like his wife's sharp tongue had hurt a lot of people. I'm always like this, it's not like you just met me. What a joke, why are you pretending to be a gentleman with me? Seeing their unhappy conversation, Song Yisher immediately laughed and said, Mama Qin, Mr. Qin, you can wash your hands and eat now. Sister Lan and I made shrimp dumplings, they're delicious. Yisher, you're the best. Mama Chin smiled like a blooming flower, then walked over while swaying her hips. Chin Yumin didn't say anything else, and after the maid put the luggage upstairs, the three of them sat down in the dining room. Sure, you're not going back to China this time, right? Chin Yumin asked. Yeah, I'm not going back. Have you thought about what you want to do? Do you want to come to GK? Chin Yumin was very close with Mayor Song, so he was very polite to Song Yisher. That's a good idea, you can help Chu at the company, Lady Chin chimed in. Mr. Chin, Mama Chin, thank you for your kindness. But I can't. I'm not studying finance, I'm just an artist, so I can't help him. I'm planning to open a high-end art school and take in more children to teach them how to draw. It's a way to pass the time. Shir is such a caring child. Lady Chin loved Song Yisher so much that she almost went crazy. No matter what she said, Lady Song would agree. Chin Yumin also nodded. That's good, after all, you've been learning how to draw for so many years. Your father will be happy for you. Yes, my daddy is very supportive of my opinion. These few days, he even helped me find a place to rent it. Ha! Sure, have you called Chu? Can you ask him if he's coming back for dinner? I don't think so, he usually has dinner with Huamin. Ever since Song Yisher had awkwardly bumped into Huamin while delivering supper, she seemed to have some ill feelings towards him. He did not dare to take the initiative to look for Chin Chu. Because she realized that Huamin was very powerful. What are you afraid of? What? As long as Huamin was here, Huamin would be the heavens. Was she the sun? Everyone is circling around her. Take out your phone and take it. Just say that you're back. Our son will definitely be back. Lady Chin said domineeringly as she pointed at Chin Yumin, I'm a little tired. I'll call them back another day. No, call them now. Also, don't let Huamin see them. Seeing them makes me annoyed. Ever since she fell down at Huamin's house, Lady Chin disliked Huamin even more. It was as if they were mortal enemies, a thorn in her side. What you're doing is making things difficult for our son. Isn't my son making things difficult for me? He knows that I don't like that girl, but he still married her to piss me off. Didn't you know? This time, I got injured because of her family. Luckily, I have good stamina, or else they would have killed me. You don't know how evil Huamin is. When he saw me fall, not only did he not help me, he even gloated. Luckily, Sure arrived in time and drove me to the hospital. I'll hate that little bitch for the rest of my life. Mrs. Chin continued to blabber on and on, I'm full, you guys eat. Sure, I'm going upstairs. Ha! You don't want to listen to your son. Who do you think you are? Lady Chin didn't seem to want to let it go. Chin Yumin ignored her and got up to go upstairs. Clearly, he didn't want to listen to her nagging. Mama Chin. Forget it, Dad just got off a long-distance flight. He must be tired. Let him rest first. It won't hurt to have dinner with Chin Chu for a day or two. Fine, since you said so, I'll do you a favor, Lady Chin said pretentiously. Sure, your parents didn't set you up on blind dates or anything, right? No, I don't really want to find one myself. I'm not in a hurry. Song Yisher smiled embarrassedly. Upon seeing this, Lady Chin immediately grabbed her hand and asked, Sure, if Chu gets divorced, will you marry him? Song Yisher was slightly surprised. Chapter 874. Mama Chin, what are you talking about? Don't joke around. How could Chin Chu get a divorce? He loves Huamin so much. Song Yisher smiled bitterly. Nothing is impossible. Let me tell you, men are all the same. Once you get your hands on someone, you'll get tired of them. There's no cat that doesn't cheat. My son won't be attracted to Hwamin for long. Once there's a misunderstanding, there'll be a rift. I don't think they'll get a divorce. I think they'll get a divorce sooner or later. I really like you. I really hope you're my daughter-in-law. Mama Chin. I don't think I'm that lucky. Chu doesn't seem to like me. Who said that? He liked you so much when he was young. The year you lived with us, the two of you played so well. Lady Chin always tried to talk about things that happened when they were young. The truth was, when Song Yisher was young, Chin Chu didn't have much interaction with her. Chin Chu was introverted and didn't like to talk when he was young, so he didn't have any feelings for Song Yisher. At that time, he was still living alone in a lonely world. It wasn't until the first year of high school that he met a girl that lit up his entire world. However, women were always blind when it came to relationships. Even Song Yisher couldn't resist the temptation. Although she kept rejecting Lady Chin verbally, she was actually quite happy when she heard what Lady Chin said. If Chin Chu could really get a divorce, it would be a good thing for her, right? After Jiang Xiaowei got pregnant, the Wei family was overjoyed and began to prepare for their wedding. The wedding was set for the 1st of January, New Year's Day, and there were 500 tables. The Wei family had been in Sea City for many years. They were well known and influential, and they also had many branches. They had many rich allies, so when the news of the wedding was released, it immediately dominated the entertainment headlines. For a few days, there were news reports, so Jiang Xiaowei didn't dare to leave the house. Other than going to work during the day, Wei Liao rarely went out at night. Most of the time, he stayed at home with Jiang Xiaowei. Tang Chuan was not very reliable. Sometimes he went abroad to play, and sometimes he stayed at home to pick up girls. All of a sudden, Suyu was all alone. He felt as if all his friends had left him, therefore, after he finished his work during the day, he began to return to the Su family more often. On this day, after returning to the Su family for dinner, only Mrs. Su and Lord Su were there. You, Grandpa. What is it? One of Grandpa's former comrades wants to come here with her granddaughter to play. Are you going to spend a day with us? Aw. Don't. I don't like to socialize. Suyu directly refused. This isn't a social gathering. We're just friends catching up. Then Grandpa can just ask your adjutant to do it. Once you give the order, everything in the army will be done for you. No, it's rare for Grandpa to take a vacation, and I don't want to have anything to do with the army. It's a private gathering. How about this, you pick her up from the airport in the morning and bring her home. We'll eat together, and in the afternoon, you can take us around. Don't you have a resort in the west, at Beauty Lake? We can go there to fish and eat some barbecue or something. The old man seemed to be very interested. You, since Grandpa has already said so, don't refuse, Mrs. Su said with a smile. This. Suyu really didn't want to, but he didn't want to spoil his grandpa's mood. In the end, he could only nod. Okay then it's settled. I'll give you the flight number and the name of the person later. Don't forget. Got it. Suyu was depressed. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have come back for dinner today. Who knew that his old man was so good at causing trouble? After dinner, Lady Su mysteriously pulled her son to the side. Your grandpa really put a lot of thought into this. Do you know why his old comrade brought his granddaughter here? Is he going to introduce her to me? That's right. Suyu, Mom. I don't like blind dates. This isn't a blind date. What if she's to your liking? No, Mom. Even if she looks like Chang Yi, I don't want her, Suyu said firmly. Is it because of that girl from the Huo family? Lady Su looked at her son meaningfully and asked. Chapter 875. Mom, don't tell the truth. Sigh, what should I say about you? Everyone outside says that our little ancestor of the Su family is a playboy. You have a lot of girlfriends and scandals. Actually, Mom knows that you're just putting on a show. You've been stubborn since you were young. If you like something, you'll go for it. That's a good thing, you're loyal, but it's also a scam. Son, we can't covet something that doesn't belong to us. We have to have a bottom line. Mom. I didn't cause her any trouble. I didn't know that she was married before, so I confessed to her rashly once and was rejected. After that, I didn't say it again. Actually, my request is very simple now. I just want to see her occasionally. I don't want anything. You don't have to worry about me bringing shame to the Su family. That's good. Hearing her son say this, Lady Su's expression softened a little. The next morning, at 6 a.m, Su woke up and followed the driver to the airport in the Bentley. At the VIP exit, a thin old man and a young girl in her early 20s walked out. The old man was wearing a gray Chinese tunic suit. He looked very authentic and serious. The young girl was very lively. She was wearing a small leather jacket, a short skirt, black stockings, and long boots. She was very fashionable and had a head of curly hair. She looked very sweet, like a doll. Su walked up to the old man. Are you Grandpa Su? Yes, I'm Su Chushan, the old man said with a serious face. Hello, Grandpa Su, I'm Su Yu. You're the grandson of the old class president, right? You're really talented. Not bad, not bad. The old man praised Su Yu endlessly. The young girl behind him immediately interrupted. Ah, you're Su Yu. I know you. I heard that you've been dating Jian Tong recently. Is that right? The young girl smiled in a gossipy manner. The old man turned around. Don't be rude. This is my granddaughter, Su Jimin, the old man introduced. Su Yu nodded slightly. Then, he got into the car with the two of them and drove all the way to the Su family. On the way, the girl kept talking to Su Yu in the back seat. I heard that Mian under your company is being kept by a local young master. Is that true? Su Yu, is it true between you and Jian Tong? Or is this a publicity stunt? Are you having an affair with Annie Liang? Did you break Annie Liang because you were with Jian Tong? Is that why she signed with GK to make things difficult for you? Also, why is your singing so good? I saw the live broadcast of GK's 30th anniversary on TV. The song you sang, just once, was for a girl, right? Is it Jian Tong? Su Yu, this little girl's mouth was like a cannonball. She kept asking questions, which made Su Yu completely confused. Your questions are sharper than a reporter's. How am I supposed to answer them? Su Yu looked helpless. It doesn't matter. You can answer them one by one. Su Yu, Jimin, don't be rude. The old man also had a headache. It really wasn't a wise decision to bring this gossipy granddaughter out to play. At the Su family mansion, the two old men hit it off immediately and were very close. Only then did Su Yu find out that his grandfather was the squad leader of the army during the War of Resistance. This old man was his old comrade who had gone through fire and water with him. He was a year older than his grandfather, but he respected his grandfather very much. He was also the head of a military region in the south, and his status was second only to his grandfather. He had many children, and they were all in the army. His family had a lot of background. And because Su Jimin was the youngest daughter of his youngest son, she was the apple of the family's eye. Perhaps it was because everyone spoiled her that she didn't know what to say. You, take Min out for a walk. Young people have more common topics to talk about. Master Lord Su took the initiative to speak. Although Suyu didn't want to, he still nodded. Let's go. He turned around and walked out of the mansion, and Su Jiamin followed. Suyu, take me to Imperial Star. I really like Jian Tong. She's my favorite actress. I don't like Xiao Qingya. Although she's pretty, I feel like she's fake. Oh right, the internet said that she went abroad to further her studies and quit the entertainment industry. Is that true? Why is there no news about her at all? Chapter 876. Don't ask about this, it has nothing to do with you. So you didn't seem to want to talk to the little girl. Are you afraid that I'll tell others? I won't, don't worry, I'm a very principled person. The little girl said confidently, how old are you? Suyu had a cigarette in his mouth as he glanced at Su Jiamin. The little girl raised 2 fingers. I'm 20. Then why aren't you in school? What are you doing out here? It's so cold in the north. I'm studying in Singapore. There are a lot of vacations there, so I come back often. I'm in the south and rarely see snow. Sometimes it snows, and it melts before it hits the ground. My grandpa said that the winter here lasts 5 months, and it snows a lot. I want to see it. What's there to see? It's boring. Suyu leaned on his Lamborghini, not knowing what to say to her. They had nothing in common. Can you take me to Imperial Star? I heard that you're the biggest boss of Imperial Star, and all the celebrities listen to you. The little girl was obviously a groupie. You won't see any celebrities at this time. They're all acting or filming, why would they go to the company? Oh. Really? I see. Then what do you have here? Can you take me out? Or do you have something good to eat? The little girl looked excited. Suyu woke up too early in the morning, so he didn't have much energy. We'll have breakfast soon, don't run around. No, I want to go out and eat. I want to experience the culture here. The little girl insisted, and Suyu's head hurt from all the noise. He drove his Lamborghini and took her out. In the end, they went to Oaxayan's ramen at the back door of Second High. This ramen is good, right? Su Jiamin asked as she looked at the small sign. It's okay. Suyu said perfunctorily and walked in first. Boss, 2 bowls of noodles, 1 big and 1 small, Suyu said. No, boss, 2 big bowls, thank you. You can eat that much. Suyu looked at the little girl in disbelief. If I can't finish it, I can give you the rest. Suyu, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. It was too shocking. If she couldn't finish it, she would give it to him. Did he think he was a trash can? I won't eat your leftovers. You have to be clear about this, Suyu warned seriously. Ha ha ha. Why are you so nervous? I'm just teasing you. I can eat a lot. A big bowl is no problem. Then, the 2 of them sat at the dining table. It just so happened that it was time for school in the morning. Many students were walking in through the back door of Second High School. Suyu was a little stunned as he watched. If he had studied here all those years ago, would he have also been attracted to Huamin? Seeing how engrossed he was, Su Jiamin suddenly asked, do you like high school students? Suyu looked at her helplessly. You're thinking too much, that's not right. You chose to eat here because there's a story here. Tell me, did your ex-girlfriend like this place? No. Suyu denied it directly. Then the girl you like likes to eat the noodles here. Suyu, see. I guessed right, right? The tomboy you like graduated from this school, right? Su Jiamin suddenly asked. How did you know? Just by looking at you. You brought me to eat noodles near the school so early in the morning. I didn't just think that this place was delicious. I knew that you liked it here. But Grandpa said that you joined the army at a young age, so you probably didn't go to high school. So, I guess that the girl you like probably graduated from here. Okay. Soo-Yuk sighed slightly and didn't say anything else. The person you like isn't Jian Tong, right? Su Jiamin asked again. Why do you have so many questions? Do you think I have 100,000 whys? Su-Yu was a little impatient. I'm just asking. What's wrong? The girl looked wronged. Then, she noticed that the look in Su-Yu's eyes changed. He was staring at the door, his eyes unmoving. She turned around and saw an Audi R8 slowly stop in front of the ramen restaurant. A girl with delicate features got out of the car. She was wearing jeans, heels, and a short black trench coat. Chapter 877. Boss, a small bowl of ramen please, Hua-min said as he walked in. Okay. Hua-min saw Su-Yu as soon as she walked in. She nodded and greeted him. Then, she sat down at the table next to him. She originally planned to eat with Chin Chu in the morning, but Chin Chu received a call and rushed to the construction site to deal with work. She drove here herself and planned to go to work after eating. However, she didn't expect to see Su-Yu here so early in the morning, with a girl beside him. Ever since Hua-min came in, Su-Yu's gaze changed. Hey, it can't be that dramatic, right? Is it her? Su Jiamin asked. Just then, the boss brought their noodles to the table. Su-Yu pushed a bowl in front of her and said bluntly, Don't talk, eat your noodles. Su Jiamin pouted and didn't say anything else. The two ate their noodles in silence. Hua-min hadn't been in a good mood lately. Because tomorrow morning, Jixin would fly to Jing City at 3 a.m. and then transfer to New Zealand. This trip was thousands of miles away, and she didn't know when he would come back. While eating, Hua-min was a little absent-minded and looked a little lonely. Although Su-Yu was focused on eating his noodles, he couldn't help but look up at her. He waited until Hua-min finished a bowl of noodles and left, so you couldn't help but walk up to her. Are you okay? I'm fine. You don't look well. Oh, maybe it's because I've been busy with work, Hua-min said faintly. Then take care of yourself. Okay. Hua-min nodded. Hua-min. He said again. Yeah. It's my birthday next Friday, and there's going to be a cocktail party at my private mansion at 6 p.m. Can you come? Su-Yu hesitated for a long time, but he still wanted to invite Hua-min. He felt that if he could see her on his birthday, he would be very happy. I'll see. Hua-min didn't directly refuse, but she didn't agree either. She watched the Audi R8 drive away. Only then did Su-Yu come back to his senses and sit down to eat his noodles. She's the girl you like, right? It's none of your business. Su-Yu asked him politely. Am I curious? Shut up and eat your noodles, Su-Yu said fiercely. Su Jiamin didn't say anything. When the two of them returned to the Su family's villa, it was almost noon. Su took her for a walk outside before returning to the mansion. Grandpa Su seemed very enthusiastic. Jiamin, how's my Yu doing? He's an egomaniac, and he has a quick temper. He's always so fierce, Su Jiamin commented sincerely. When the two old men heard this, they laughed out loud at the girl's honesty. No, he's good. At least he's sincere. I don't like guys who are too fake and hypocritical, the girl added. Would you be willing to be my granddaughter-in-law? Master Lord Su was very straightforward. Grandpa. Su-Yu didn't seem happy with his grandpa's joke. Forget it. Master Lord Su, no, no. What? You don't like you? Master Lord Su asked. No, he's much older than me. I don't want to find someone so old. I like young men. I like Ni Yang. Ni Yang. This time, the two old men were confused. When did you have a boyfriend? How come I didn't know? Grandpa Su asked with a serious face. Su Yu helplessly explained for her, the Ni Yang she's talking about is a celebrity. Only then did the two old men realize, Master Lord Su wanted to matchmake Su Jiamin and Su Yu. Although they were 7 or 8 years apart, their family backgrounds were similar. The two old men agreed, but unfortunately, the two children didn't seem to think so. Su Jiamin seemed to have a good impression of Su Yu, but when she saw how gentle he was to that girl when they were eating ramen, she gave up. She felt like giving up. Su Jiamin knew very well that it was very tiring to like a man who had someone else in his heart. GK headquarters. When Qin Chu finished his work and returned to the company, it was already 10 in the morning. After the meeting, he was about to go out for lunch when he saw Song Yisher. You were looking for me? Qin Chu asked her. Yeah, do you mind having lunch with me? Song Yisher smiled and invited him. Her questions were always so tactful. If Qin Chu said that he minded, he would seem too petty. If he didn't mind, he would have to have lunch with her. Chapter 878. Let's go, I'm going downstairs too. Qin Chu didn't refuse and went downstairs with Song Yisher, at a Western restaurant downstairs. The two of them ordered a steak set. Then, Song Yisher took out a blueprint and handed it to Qin Chu. What's this? I'm planning to open an art school, right? So, when I was looking for a location, I saw this. It's a store in a new building under your company. This 7-story building is empty and hasn't been rented out yet. It's in a good location, so I wanted to ask if you could rent it to me. You want to open a school? Yeah. I've been back for so many days, I can't always rely on my parents. I've been studying art for so many years, and to be honest, I wanted to open a studio. But, you know, there aren't many people here, so there won't be much business. So, I decided to go all the way and open a school. I can even teach kids, it's pretty good. Oh. Qin Chu nodded faintly. Can you rent it to me? I'll pay you the rent. Song Yisher smiled. You can use it, we're planning to rent it out. As for the rent, you can pay me normally. You can talk to the administrative department about the contract, I don't usually care about these things. Okay, thank you. Song Yisher nodded in thanks. Qin Chu lowered his head and sent a WeChat message to Huamin. He looked very focused, he completely forgot about Song Yisher, who was sitting across from him. She felt a little awkward sitting across from him. So, just as Qin Chu and Huamin were talking, she suddenly said on purpose, Chu, Mr. Qin is back. He wants you to come home for dinner tonight. Huamin happened to hear this. She sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu and typed, Is Song Yisher with you? Yeah, she came to find me. She wants to rent an apartment under the company. Why do you have to ask about something like this? Isn't that the administrative department's business? Huamin was unhappy. I don't know. Humph. Let's see how I torture you when we get home. Honey, I'm innocent. Did I say anything about you? Why are you crying injustice? Huamin replied domineeringly. Qin Chu was speechless. Qin Chu, Qin Chu. Seeing that Qin Chu didn't respond to her, Song Yisher shouted again. Qin Chu finally looked up. Papa Qin is back. Got it. I'll contact him later. Oh, okay. Song Yisher nodded. After the meal, Chin Chu paid the bill and went back to the company. Song Yisher drove to have afternoon tea with a few socialites. However, he did not expect to meet Hua Xichen here. Hi, Miss Song, Hua Xichen greeted her. Hua Xiao. Hua Xiao. The socialites greeted him as well. Hua Xichen was very popular in the circle. Both men and women liked him. Other than Su Yu and Chin Chu, young Master Hua, Song Yisher greeted him as well. I haven't seen you in a few days. You've gotten prettier. Thank you. Song Yisher smiled elegantly. Are you free tonight? I made a reservation at Phoenix Terrace. Do me the honor of joining us for dinner. Hua Xichen invited her. I'm sorry, but I have plans tonight. Oh, I see. Okay then, another day. Okay. Enjoy, my treat. Hua Xichen paid the bill like a gentleman and left the restaurant. After he left, the socialites immediately gossiped. Is Hua Xichen pursuing you, Sure? Yeah. Hua Xiao likes pretty girls. You're so pretty, of course he's interested in you. He even danced with you at your party the other day. I also heard that he hasn't had a girlfriend since he broke up with Mo Shui. Maybe he wants to pursue you, Sure. You guys are overthinking it. I don't think he's interested in me. Song Yisher smiled. Chapter 879. No way, we can all tell, a socialite said. No way, it's obvious. He wanted to treat you to dinner and dance with you. What man would do that for no reason? Not necessarily. I heard that the whole corporation is in the running for a piece of land. Maybe he wants to use me to get my dad's recognition, Song Yisher said slowly as she took a sip of coffee. Hey, you're right. Song Yisher would never think that a man was nice to her because he liked her. Although she thought she was beautiful and charming, it depended on what kind of man he was with. Hua Xichen was a playboy, but he wasn't infatuated with her. She would rather believe that Hua Xichen got close to her for a reason. When Hua Min got off work, he went straight back to Sky Blessing Court. Chin Chu called her, but she didn't pick up. When Chin Chu got home, he saw that no one was home and guessed that she was at Sky Blessing Court. So, he drove to Sky Blessing Court. Yang Meirong made a lot of dishes. Because Xixin was leaving tomorrow, everyone was sad to see him leave. This time, Chin Chu was the one who found Xixin's school, tuition, and residence. For Xixin's sake, he did everything himself and picked the most suitable university out of the 10. Brother-in-law, you're here. Is your sister here? Yeah, she just got back. She's in the kitchen with my mom. Emichim, Chin Chu walked in, took out 2 cards from his pocket, and handed them to Xixin. One is a SIM card that allows you to make international calls. When you get there, just change the SIM card. The other one is a UnionPay card that can be used all over the world. You can use it when you're overseas. There's 1 million in it. You can use it now, and the finance department will transfer it to you every month. Don't feel burdened, just spend it however you want. Brother-in-law. I know you're super rich, but you're too stubborn. How can I spend 1 million and transfer it to me every month? No, it's too much. Take it. If you can't spend it all, bring it back to me. Xixin knew Chin Chu. He didn't say much, but he always expressed himself with his actions. Once he gave you something, you had to take it. That was his way of doing things. My sister gave me money, brother-in-law. Your sister gave you money, and this is mine. Take it. There's no harm in having more money. I know you won't flaunt your wealth, so you won't get into trouble. Chin Chu. Thank you, brother-in-law. Jishin carefully put away the 2 cards. Then, she looked at Chin Chu and said, brother-in-law. I don't know how long it'll be before I come back. It's a long journey, so if there's nothing else, I won't go back and forth. My mom is fine. She often goes out with those aunties, but my sister is a workaholic. She only listens to you, so you have to take good care of her. Also, hurry up and have a baby. I really want to be an uncle, Jishin reminded them. Chin Chu nodded in agreement. Just then, Huamin walked out of the kitchen and placed a dish on the dining table. He glanced at Chin Chu and asked, President Chin, what did you have for lunch today? Steak. Wow, not bad. Did you have red wine? No. Wait, you had steak and a beautiful woman. Why didn't you have red wine? Huamin said sourly. He thought that she was jealous because she overheard Song Yisher's conversation on WeChat. Then, he said, Honey, let's talk about private things at home. Don't talk about it here. This is my home too. Why can't we talk about it? Also, I'm not going back tonight. I want to stay here. Okay, I'll stay here too. Why should you stay here? This is my home. Sis, brother-in-law bought this house. Jishin reminded her. Shut up. Are you my brother or his brother? Huamin deliberately scolded Jishin. Jishin, honey, you're right. Everything you say is right. Chin Chu's attitude was good. Don't give me that. Are you trying to bluff your way out of this? Nope. Anyway, I'm not going back. Jishin's leaving tomorrow, so I'll move back here for a while. You can reflect on yourself. Honey, stop it. Chin Chu's heart couldn't take it anymore when he heard that Huamin was moving back to her parents' home. I'm not, Huamin replied angrily. I just promised Jishin that we'll have a baby. If you move away, how am I going to fulfill his wish? Chin Chu smirked. Chapter 880. So you married me because you wanted a baby? Huamin asked, pretending to be angry. Before Chin Chu could say anything, Jishin spoke up for his brother-in-law. Sis, you're so unreasonable. Brother-in-law is already like that, and you're still trying to be unreasonable. Don't say anything, let him speak. Huamin looked at Chin Chu fiercely. Honey. Chin Chu looked like he had been wronged. The more he said, the more mistakes he would make. What if he really got into trouble and they separated? Just then, Yang Meirong walked out. Dinner's ready. Thank you for your hard work, Auntie. Chin Chu respected Yang Meirong very much. Even though she had a bad temper and was prejudiced against him, Chin Chu still wanted to thank her for raising Huamin for more than 20 years. It's nothing. Don't be so polite with me. Hurry up and eat. Yang Meirong brought out the dishes one by one, and the 4 of them sat around the table. It's all thanks to Chin Chu that Jishin went abroad this time. Auntie, it's my duty. What's your duty? No one should do anything for anyone. Even if we're family, we have to be considerate. The house we live in is all thanks to you. I only have 2 wishes for the rest of my life. One is for Mian to be happy, and the other is for Jishin to live a carefree life. As long as you guys live well, I won't have to worry about you, Yang Meirong said as she ate. Don't worry, Mom. We're not kids anymore. Huamin smiled. Jishin, be a good boy when you're there. Don't get into trouble. Mom, I don't get into trouble in China. Don't worry. If something happens, I'll call brother-in-law. Chin Chu nodded. Huamin looked at Jixin and realized that Jixin really liked Qin Chu. It was no wonder, other than Huamin, Qin Chu treated Jixin the best. He had already mentioned changing cars twice. Luckily, Huamin stopped him. Otherwise, Jixin would probably be driving a Porsche by now. After dinner, Huamin dilly-dallied and refused to leave. Qin Chu was not in a hurry. He drank tea in the living room and waited for her. In the end, young Meirong couldn't take it anymore. Hurry up and leave. Look at the time. Your brother's flight is at 3:00. Qin Chu already arranged for a driver to send him. What are you still doing here? Mom. I'll stay a little longer. What are you waiting for? Both of you have to go to work tomorrow. Go home and sleep. Your brother is going to school, not to suffer. Before Huamin could say anything, young Meirong pushed and shoved Huamin out. Then, she quietly got into the car with Qin Chu. After getting into the car, Huamin's face was still gloomy. She was in a bad mood. Honey, don't be sad. Seeing Huamin's gloomy face, Qin Chu's heart ached. Huamin was no longer mad at Qin Chu. After all, Huamin didn't care about Song Yisher at all. She leaned into Qin Chu's arms and said in a small voice, Honey, I still don't want to leave Jixin. What should I do? Huamin was already used to being an older sister. Over the years, she would rather live frugally to take care of her brother. Occasionally chatting with Jixin on WeChat and eating had become a part of her life. She never thought that one day, he would leave this city and go to a place so far away. Therefore, she still couldn't accept it, just like how she couldn't accept Wang Yu's death. Life is a process of constant parting and reunions. No one is immune, everyone is the same. Qin Chu gently hugged Huamin and comforted her softly. I know, I'm just a little sad. In the end, Huamin cried in his arms for a while before the two reluctantly drove away. Huamin didn't sleep much that night. She tossed and turned, thinking about Jixin the entire time. At 3 a.m, she got up and looked at the time on her phone. Then, she went downstairs to get some water. She looked at the dark sky outside the window and thought about how her brother was already on a plane to New Zealand, across the ocean. Jixin. I hope you'll be all grown up when you come back, Huamin murmured quietly. 3 days later, Huamin went to the second board meeting of the Hua Corporation during his break. Shinjiani looked at the transfer records and saw that 400 million yuan had been transferred to the corporation's account. All of the board members seemed to be relieved. Then, to no one's surprise, Hua Si resigned. As a father, Hua Zhenghai apologized to the board members for not teaching his son well and put on a good show. After the board meeting ended, Hua Siqian stopped Huamin. What? Aren't you curious about what I'm going to do next? That's your problem, what does it have to do with me? Huamin never thought that he was on the same side as Hua Siqian. Chapter 881. No, it has something to do with you. Come back tonight, and I'll show you the best show ever. Tonight? Huamin was a bit surprised. Wasn't this too soon? You're making a move tonight? Huamin asked uncertainly. Yeah, that's the only way to catch them off guard. Hua Siqian smiled. Shinjiani barely managed to block the 400 million yuan, and Hua Siqian was going to attack again. He was indeed aggressive. This time, you'll make sure that they can't turn the tables. With Huamin's understanding of Hua Siqian, he knew that Hua Siqian had already done enough foreplay. If he made a move now, it would be fatal. As expected, he dotingly flicked Huamin's forehead. He didn't use much strength. You're the smartest, you have to come back to witness such an exciting moment, or else, all my planning will be in vain. My mom will be back tonight at 6:30 p.m., and the whole family will be there. You have to come. After speaking, Hua Xiqian put his hands in his pockets and left. Hua Min looked at him with a complicated expression. Hua Xiqian was usually smiling and seemed easy to get along with. But in reality, Hua Min thought that Hua Xiqian was too smart and didn't care about anyone. He was full of tricks. Unfortunately, she didn't see the person in his heart. If she knew now, she would probably, Mian. Just as Hua Min was about to leave the company, Hua Zhenghai suddenly called out from behind. Hua Min turned around and saw that he was alone. Shen Jiani wasn't with him. What's up? You should rest today. Have some tea with Dad. I haven't talked to you alone in a while. I don't think we have anything to talk about. Hua Min's attitude wasn't friendly. Hua Zhenghai didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and said, "Don't be so distant. Although the Hua family isn't as powerful as the Qin family, we'll still help them if they're in trouble. After all, we're in-laws now." Hua Zhenghai always brought up the marriage between the Qin and Hua families, which really annoyed Hua Mian. Hua Min wanted to refuse, but Hua Zhenghai continued, "How's your mom doing? I went to the old house to visit her, but it was empty." "Did she move away?" "Yeah, isn't there going to be a demolition?" "I bought her a new house." "Really? Where is the new house?" "You don't need to know about this." "My mother, she doesn't seem to want to see you," Hua Min said straightforwardly. Hua Zhenghai smiled awkwardly. "She still hates me, I know. I already said that I would slowly make it up to you and your mother." "Oh right, I heard that your brother went abroad." "Yes. Is there anything I can help you with? I have quite a few friends in Australia." "No, thank you for your kindness." "Are you sure you don't want to have tea with me?" Hua Zhenghai asked again. "Mr. Hua, I don't like to beat around the bush. If you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to drink tea or eat, just get to the point. We're all busy." "You?" "Okay, if that's the case, then I'll get straight to the point. Yan Yan is going on a blind date tomorrow with a famous person in our city. They're hosting a banquet at the Hilton Hotel. Can you and Qin Chu come as well?" Hua Min immediately understood. She knew that Hua Zhenghai wouldn't ask her out for tea for no reason. So it was because Hui Yanyan was going on a blind date, and he wanted her and Qin Chu to go. After all, the president of GK was too eye-catching. "Oh, what a coincidence, Mr. Hua. We're not free tomorrow. It's just a short lunch break. Just say hi when you guys come." Hua Zhenghai tried to negotiate with Hua Min. "Hui Yanyan and I aren't that close. I think it's enough if you can convince Hua Xiqian to come." After speaking, Hua Min got into his car and left. He didn't want to waste any more time talking to Hua Zhenghai. It was rare for him to have a day off, so Hua Min immediately drove to find Zhu Lingling. The two of them sat in a private room in Hua Min's new coffee shop. They chatted casually. "Girl, is there still no news in your stomach?" Zhu Lingling quietly asked. Chapter 882. Hua Min's hand paused in the middle of stirring the coffee. Then, she shook her head. "Well, I heard from my mom that there's an old Chinese medicine doctor on an old street near my house. He seems to be quite good. There were a few young couples who went to see him, and then they really had a baby. I think Chinese medicine won't hurt people anyway. Wouldn't it be better if they got better? Anyway, my mom said that he's quite amazing. Since you're free today, do you want to go see him?" If it was every other time, Hua Min would have rejected her outright. However, this time, she only said one word, "Okay." Then, Hua Min drove Zhu Lingling to the street where she lived. It was an old industrial area. Since Zhu Lingling grew up here, she was used to living here and was too lazy to move to the city center. Finally, she led Huamin to a small courtyard in an alley. As soon as they entered, a big stupid dog barked. "What are you doing here?" An old lady with an unknown accent came out of the courtyard. "Hello, we're looking for Mr. Wang." Zhu Lingling vaguely remembered that the family's surname was Wang. "Oh, are you here to see a doctor?" "Yes." Huamin nodded. "Come in, it's 20 yuan for registration," the old lady said as she reached out her hand. Before Huamin could open her bag, Zhu Lingling immediately took out 20 yuan from her pocket and handed it over. Then the old lady led them all the way inside until they came to a small house. An old man in his 80s was sitting there with a pair of reading glasses and arranging herbs. There was a strong smell of Chinese medicine in the house. "Old man, we have a patient." "Oh, got it." The old man wasn't deaf at all. After hearing that, he stopped what he was doing. He turned around and walked over with slow steps. "Which one of you wants to see a doctor?" "Me," Huamin replied. "What do you want to see?" the old man asked seriously. I just want to check your pulse to see if you have any diseases." Zhu Lingling didn't want Huamin to say it himself. After all, she couldn't say that she was infertile. It would be awkward. The old man nodded and gestured for Huamin to sit on the chair. Then, he placed a wrist pad under Huamin's right wrist and began to take his pulse. The technique looked quite professional. In fact, Huamin did not believe in Chinese medicine because he studied Western medicine. It was just that there were very few traditional Chinese medicine practitioners nowadays. Most of those who graduated from medical school only knew a little about it. Then, they pretended to be godly doctors and randomly prescribed medicine. It was true that Chinese medicine couldn't kill people, but if it didn't treat the illness, it couldn't be cured. If it wasn't for Zhu Lingling, she really didn't plan to see a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. Her mother had mentioned it before, but she didn't respond. "Doctor, how is it? What's wrong with my friend?" Zhu Lingling asked anxiously. The old man slowly retracted his hand and glanced at Huamin. "She's lacking in both blood and qi. She's suffering from cold and dampness. Her womb is cold. She has a cold constitution. She probably has menstrual cramps, right?" "Yes." Huamin nodded obediently. "Take care of your body. Otherwise, it won't be easy for you to have a baby in the future," the old man sighed. Huamin and Zhu Lingling looked at each other. "Does she need to take some medicine?" Zhu Lingling asked. "If you trust me, I'll get some for you. If you don't, you can go to the pharmacy and buy some medicine to warm up the womb. It's best if you take it for 3 months," the old man advised. "Then I'll get some from you." Huamin felt that the old man was right. From a Western medicine perspective, he knew that he had a cold womb. Then, he got more than 200 yuan worth of Chinese medicine from the old man. As soon as Huamin got home, she started boiling Chinese medicine in a jar. The entire kitchen was filled with the smell of Chinese medicine. He had to take 1 packet of medicine 3 times a day. The smell was very strong and unpleasant. Most of the medicine was made from famous Chinese herbs. Anyone who had eaten Chinese herbs before knew how sour it was. After Huamin drank it all in 1 gulp for the first time, her stomach churned. Then, she couldn't help but rush to the bathroom to vomit. When Qin Chu came back, Huamin was still vomiting. She forced herself to drink it, but she couldn't help but vomit. Her entire mouth was filled with the weird taste of Chinese herbs. "Honey, what's wrong?" Qin Chu frowned slightly. Chapter 883. I'm fine. Huamin waved her hand. After brushing her teeth, she came out of the bathroom. Then, she slumped onto the sofa. Did you make Chinese medicine? Qin Chu's nose went numb. Yeah. Huamin didn't try to hide it and nodded. What's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Qin Chu touched Huamin's head and realized that she wasn't feeling hot. I went to see a Chinese doctor today. They said that I have a cold uterus. It's not easy to get pregnant with a body like this, so I wanted to get some Chinese medicine first, Huamin said nonchalantly. You can use dates and brown sugar as a treatment. Why did you have to drink Chinese medicine? Those are too slow. I want to get better quickly, Huamin said stubbornly. Qin Chu hugged her lovingly. Honey, you don't have to be like this, really. Even if we don't have a baby, I won't blame you, this is good enough. But I'll feel uneasy. I want a baby. Huamin looked lonely. Just then, a timer beeped from the kitchen. Huamin went to the kitchen to get the second bowl of Chinese medicine. Then, Qin Chu looked at her and drank the bowl of black medicine in one gulp without even frowning. Then, Huamin covered her mouth to stop herself from vomiting. Seeing how stubborn Huamin was, Qin Chu's heart ached. However, he knew Huamin's temper. Once she decided on something, she would do it until the end. So, he didn't stop her. Instead, he took out a peach from the fridge, cut it into pieces, and handed it to her. Eat something to suppress it. You'll feel better. Huamin took a small piece and put it in her mouth. Then, she smiled and said, Honey, you're home early today. My dad's home. He wants us to go back for dinner tonight. Tonight? Yeah, why? What's the matter? Yeah. Hua Xichen told me to go back tonight during the meeting this morning. I'm guessing that the Huas are going to do something big tonight. Then I'll accompany you to the Hua family. Qin Chu had never been worried about the relationship between Huamin and Hua Xichen, so he immediately said that he wanted to accompany her. What about your father? Huamin felt that something was not right. It doesn't matter. We can go tomorrow, Qin Chu said slowly. Huamin nodded. Qin family mansion. She thought that Qin Chu and Huamin would come back for dinner, so the maid prepared a dozen dishes. However, Qin Chu suddenly called and said that he wouldn't come back. Qin Yumin turned to the maid and said, The food is ready now. You don't have to wait. Chu is not coming back. Lady Qin was immediately displeased. Yeah, they have something to do. What is it? Don't they have time to come home for dinner? Lady Qin asked in annoyance. Qin Yumin didn't let Song Yishir come over because he thought that they were coming back. He didn't want his daughter-in-law to think too much. Unfortunately, they weren't back yet. Chu said that the Hua family has something to deal with tonight, so they went back. What? They'd rather go back to the Hua family than come to our house. It must be Huamin's idea. Everyone says that I hate her. Did you see that? She's purposely going against me. Lady Qin suddenly lost her cool. They went back to the Hua family for something. Why are you getting so worked up? Qin Yumin didn't like his wife's attitude. He, Qin Chu, and Huamin all thought that Lady Qin was going through menopause. Why would they go back to the Hua family for something? They're such a twisted family. What year is it now? How can they still live in the same house? They're a joke in our world. Hua Zhenghai, that shameless old man, is still as indecent as ever. Okay, let's eat. Mind your own business. Qin Yumin was impatient. He ignored his wife and walked straight to the dining table. On the other side, Huamin and Qin Chu drove their Maybach to the Hua family's house at just the right time. 6:30 p.m. Hua Zhenghai was pleasantly surprised to see Qin Chu and Huamin. Why didn't you call in advance? I wanted to ask the kitchen to add more food, Hua Zhenghai said happily. It's okay, we'll be leaving soon. Huamin's tone was very indifferent. However, he still had to be polite. Qin Chu also bought Hua Zhenghai a lot of high-end gifts. When they arrived, the Hua family was already there. Jiang Hong, who hadn't seen Huamin in a long time, was also very enthusiastic. I haven't seen you in a while. Mian is becoming more and more elegant. Jiang Hong smiled. You're too kind, Mrs. Hua. Huamin was indifferent to them. I knew my little sister Mian was always punctual. You said 6:30 p.m., not a second later. Hua Xiqian walked down the stairs. Qin Chu didn't like the way Hua Xiqian kept calling her little sister Mian. Chapter 884. You asked Mian out. Hua Zhenghai was a bit surprised. Yeah. My mom is coming back today. Is it a family dinner? It's rare for everyone to get together. Then, everyone sat down. Hua Xi lowered his head and didn't dare to speak. He had been at home for the past few days and didn't dare to leave. After he resigned, Hua Zhenghai cut off his financial support and made him reflect on his mistakes at home. When Mian sent him WeChat messages, he had to reply in secret. He had no freedom at all. President Qin, is this your first time here? Hui Yanyan was very enthusiastic and took the initiative to talk to Qin Chu. Yes, Qin Chu's reply was cold. You look much better than on TV. I heard that GK Film and Television is doing very well, Hui Yanyan continued to ask. Qin Chu didn't know how to answer, because her words were completely irrelevant. Huamin, on the other hand, smiled and replied, Thank you for your concern, GK Film and Television has always been doing well. Hui Yanyan ignored Huamin and continued to stare at Qin Chu with infatuation. Can I go visit the company when I have time? I really like Annie Liang's temperament and acting skills. The artists aren't at the company, they're all out of town for work or filming, Qin Chu politely refused. I see. Then can you get me an autograph or something? Hui Yanyan continued to ask shamelessly. Ahem, have you ever seen the boss of a company ask his employees for autographs? Huamin looked at Hui Yanyan, amused. That's right, Yanyan, that's too cheap. Don't think about those messy things. Shenjiani tried to persuade her. Mian, I heard that you're a doctor now. Jiang Hong was very well informed. Yes. Xiqian has always been the one to do the Hua Foundation's accounts, there's not a single mistake. Not a single cent is missing, you're great. Thank you, Mrs. Hua, I'm just doing my job. In the face of Jiang Hong's praise, Huamin wasn't happy at all, because these were all tricks. Who would take it seriously? Qin Chu. The thing I told you last time, the land. It hasn't been officially launched yet, but it has already become a major project for next year. There will only be news about it after the Spring Festival, Qin Chu said. Oh, okay. Just don't forget what I told you. Hua Zhenghai didn't forget to ask for a share of the loot. He was shameless to the extreme. Have you been married for a long time? Is there any news in Mian's belly? Shenjiani asked with a smile. Huamin felt that she was asking on purpose to embarrass him. Before Huamin could say anything, Qin Chu said, Mian is still young, we're not in a hurry. We're going to wait. Oh, I see. Shenjiani nodded her head, as if she had a deeper meaning. Under the dining table, Huamin reached out his hand and tightly held on to Qin Chu's. It was so good to have him by her side. He took on all the problems for her and was always the first one to protect her. Mian is indeed still young, there's no need to be in such a hurry to have a child. What if Mian doesn't like my brother-in-law anymore? It'll be easier if you don't have a child, and the divorce won't be so troublesome since it involves child custody. After Hua Xiqian said this, everyone was shocked. Then, they heard him continue, "Ha, I'm just kidding. They're so loving, how could something like that happen?" Qin Chu looked at Hua Xiqian, the corner of his mouth raised, and said provocatively, "Even if it's a joke, it's best not to. Huamin is my bottom line, I won't accept any jokes about her." "Okay, I was wrong. President Qin, don't be so agitated." Hua Xiqian was still smiling, as if nothing had happened. Jiang Hong tried to smooth things over, "Don't mind him, Xiqian likes to joke." Just then, Hua Xiqian took out a tablet from somewhere and said, "I saw someone on the forum recently post that was really funny, do you guys want to hear it?" After he said this, no one said anything, not knowing how to respond. Hua Xiqian said again, "I'll read it to you guys, this story is really interesting, I promise you guys will like it." Seeing his excited expression, Hua Min knew that the show he had prepared was about to begin. Chapter 885. Hua Zhenghai, Shen Jiani, Hua Si, Hua Yanyan, Jiang Hong, Hua Min, Qin Chu, these 7 people were all watching Hua Xiqian put on a one-man show. Other than Hua Zhenghai's group of 4, everyone else seemed to know what was going to happen. Hua Min thought that Hua Xiqian must have something on her that he could use against her. Shen Jiani's side would have no way to turn the situation around. This was Hua Xiqian's style, he loved to hit people when they were down. It was the best time for him to make a move when Shen Jiani had not recovered from the 400 million she had taken out. Hua Xiqian slowly read, "It says that a small-time actress hooked up with a rich man. Unfortunately, the rich man already had a wife, so she became his mistress. In order to become his wife, she gave birth to a child and finally became a rich man." Upon hearing this, Shen Jiani's expression changed slightly. She seemed to have realized that Hua Xiqian was insinuating something. What's there to be curious about? Isn't it normal to be a mistress these days? It means that the woman is capable. Otherwise, why would the man like her? This is a survival of the fittest society. If you lose, you can't blame the mistress. Otherwise, there wouldn't be mistresses and mistresses, Hui Yanyan said. She was obviously trying to clear her mother's name, but she didn't do it well. Hua Min didn't want to argue with her, so she quietly watched the show unfold. Hua Xiqian smiled again and continued reading. The rich man dotes on the mistress and her child very much. He grants them whatever they ask for. But the funny thing is, the rich man doesn't know that the child the mistress gave birth to isn't even his. It's the child of the mistress and the man she used to love. What the rich man doesn't know is that the mistress has been cheating on him with that man all these years. She's been cheating on him. Hua Min realized something after hearing this. She looked at Shen Jiani in surprise. She had a man. And the child wasn't Hua Zhenghai's. Wasn't this too melodramatic? Shen Jiani's face slowly turned pale. Her eyes were filled with fear. In the end, Hua Xiqian smiled and asked Shen Jiani, "Auntie Shen, do you think this story is interesting enough?" "Hua Xiqian, what do you mean? Why are you insinuating about my mother?" Hui Yanyan couldn't hold it in anymore. Hua Xiqian continued to smile. "I'm not insinuating anything. Why do you have to take my words to heart?" Jiang Hong seemed to know the inside story. She didn't say anything and just drank her tea quietly. Even if you're making things up, you should have a bottom line, right? Are you suspecting that I'm not Dad's daughter? What a joke. Hui Yanyan didn't think it was possible. When she was sick, her blood had been tested and found to be of the same blood type as Hua Zhenghai's. At that time, she even said that if her father ever got sick, she could donate blood or something. Therefore, she was almost certain that Hua Xiqian was lying. It was all nonsense, That was why she was yelling so loudly, "Don't look for it, the post isn't talking about you, it's about the son of the mistress." After speaking, Hua Xiqian looked at Hua Si meaningfully. Hua Zhenghai wasn't stupid. He understood what Hua Xiqian was trying to say. Then, he asked, "Xiqian, don't read these messy posts. They're not suitable for you. Most of them are just slanderous posts." "That's true, but Dad, I found an interesting secret." "What secret?" Hua Zhenghai was surprised. Hua Xiqian took out his phone, opened a short video, and handed it to Hua Zhenghai. Hua Zhenghai was shocked after watching it. Where did you get this?" He didn't feel good. "A friend from a news agency accidentally took a picture of it and sent it to me. I bought it for 3 million yuan, or else it would have been exposed." "What kind of video costs 3 million yuan?" Jiang Hong purposely asked with a smile. Hua Min and Qin Chu looked at each other, as if they understood each other. Sure enough, Hua Zhenghai slammed his phone in front of Shinjiani and yelled, "Watch this carefully." After Shinjiani saw the video, her expression changed drastically. Chapter 886. She was scared out of her wits. It was a video of her meeting with her ex-lover at the end of last month while Hua Zhenghai was away for a meeting in Beijing. Although it wasn't very clear, it was still a video of them kissing in the apartment. Videos weren't photoshopped. You could say that the photo was photoshopped, but the video couldn't be photoshopped. Shinjiani was so scared that she immediately fell to her knees. "Master, I was wrong. I was confused." With a loud slap, Hua Zhenghai slapped Shinjiani across the face. She stumbled backwards from the slap. Mom, Hua Si and Hua Yanyan both panicked and wanted to help her up. "Don't touch her." Hua Zhenghai roared, scaring Hua Yanyan and Hua Si so much that they didn't dare to move. "Mom, what's going on? What video is this?" Hua Yanyan was also panicking. "Nothing. It's just a video of your mom having an affair with a random man while your dad was away in Beijing," Jiang Hong said mockingly. Hua Yanyan and Hua Si were both dumbfounded. Hua Zhenghai's face was beyond ugly. Shinjiani. I never would have thought that you would betray me." "Ah, that's great. You sure have guts. How dare you?" Haven't I been good to you all these years? How dare you?" Hua Zhenghai was not only furious at Shinjiani's betrayal, but his heart also turned cold. Although he was selfish, he still loved Shinjiani. Although he occasionally flirted with other girls, he protected Shinjiani well. However, he was very protective of Shinjiani and her children. He gave her a lot of money and invested a lot of love. He always thought that Shinjiani loved him deeply, but he never thought that she would cheat on him one day. "Tell me. Who is that man?" Hua Zhenghai asked coldly. "Master. I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. I won't do it again. I won't see him again. Can you believe me?" Shinjiani crawled over, but Hua Zhenghai kicked her away. "Don't touch me, you asshole." Hua Zhenghai cursed. Hua Xiqian said slowly, "Dad. I got someone to look into this man. His name is Zhu Xiu, he's the owner of a restaurant and has his own family. I heard that he used to be Auntie Shin's classmate in middle school. They even dated. Oh no, they've been dating all these years. I got someone to look into it and found out that he never broke up with Auntie Shin. Actually, they did a good job keeping it a secret, but the paparazzi's equipment is more advanced. Oh, well, junior high school classmate, first love. Shinjiani, how dare you? I've been feeding you and supporting you all these years, but you've been cheating on me. Do you feel sorry for me?" Hua Zhenghai clutched his chest as if he was furious. No, he's not telling the truth. We haven't contacted each other in years. I got drunk during a class reunion. I'm sorry, I promise I won't do it again. Master. Shanghai. I still love you, please believe me. Their affair was suddenly exposed. Even someone as smart as Shinjiani panicked, therefore, she started crying and begging for mercy, no longer able to keep her cool. Huamin felt sad for this woman as he watched her kneel on the ground and hug Hua Xinghai's leg. She was willing to throw away her dignity just to keep her status as a wealthy family, Dad. I'm sure Mom has her reasons. Huasi felt bad for his mother and wanted to explain. However, Hua Xinghai kicked him to the ground. Get out of my way. Oh, right. See, I don't think you can call me Dad anymore. I took your hair for a test a few days ago and found that your DNA is completely different from Dad's. So, I'm guessing, you might be Zhu Xiu's son. Of course, he's your mom's only lover. After Hua Xichen said this, everyone was shocked again. Chapter 887. You're slandering me. Hua Xi pointed at Hua Xichen and yelled. Hua Zhenghai looked at Hua Xichen in shock. What did you say? Dad. I'm sorry. Even though the results are a bit cruel, I still have to tell you that C isn't your son. Here's a comparison report, you can take a look. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can find someone to test it for you. But there's good news, Yan Yan is indeed your daughter. When Hua Zhenghai took the report from Hua Xichen, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. All these years, he had never suspected that Hua Xi wasn't his son. That was why he never did a DNA test, because he thought it was an insult to Shinjiani. He didn't think that this small mistake would lead to such a big disaster. Shinjiani was so scared that she didn't dare to speak. She never thought that her lie would be exposed one day. Back then, she was only pregnant because she had an affair. She was so scared that she didn't know what to do and wanted to abort the child. However, she was in a hurry to give birth to a son for the Hua family, so she took the risk to give birth to the child. After all, Hua Yanyan didn't look like Hua Zhenghai. No one would suspect her, but who would have thought that Hua Xichen would investigate her? Shinjiani. Hua Zhenghai ran up to her like a madman and choked her with both hands. He choked her so hard that it seemed like he was going to strangle her to death. Hua Yanyan rushed up to save her mother, but she was bounced away, and slammed into the wall. Dad, don't be rash. What's done is done. Killing her won't change anything. Hua Xichen tried to calm him down. Just as Shinjiani thought she was going to die, Hua Zhenghai suddenly let go of her. Let's call it a day. Mian, you and Qin Chu can go home first. I have some family matters to take care of. Okay, we'll be leaving now. Qin Chu and Hua Min stood up awkwardly. As soon as they left, Hua Zhenghai dragged Shinjiani upstairs and locked her in her room, beating her up. Screams echoed throughout the house. Hua Yanyan and Hua Si were crying. They didn't know what they could do. It's all your fault. Why are you so bad? Hua Xichen tried to hit Hua Xichen. However, he was thrown to the ground by Chu Yang's grappling hand. He was battered and exhausted. After beating up Shinjiani, Hua Zhenghai walked downstairs. No one is allowed to leave this house. I want to investigate this thoroughly. After Hua Zhenghai calmed down, he decided to look into it again. If what Hua Xichen said was true and Hua Si wasn't her biological son, then she would have to make a new will. Okay, Dad, we'll wait for you to find out. Hua Xichen crossed his arms and sat on the sofa with a smile. I really pity you. You raised someone else's son for more than 20 years. Jiang Hong said mockingly. Shut up, all of you. After saying this, Hua Shanghai clutched his chest. Then, he blacked out and fell to the ground. After Hua Min and Qin Chu left the Hua mansion, they went straight back to South Hill Manor. It was early winter, and the temperature was very low. The two of them held hands and sat by the fountain in front of the door. Honey. Was the show at the Hua family good? What do you think? It was pretty good. Hua Shanghai has done too many bad things, so this is karma. But Hua Xiqian is pretty ruthless. He should have known about this a long time ago, but he set Shen Jiani up and made her cough up 400 million yuan. Then, he stepped on her when she was down. I think Shen Jiani and the other two, regardless of whether Hui Yanyan is her biological son or not, will never be able to turn things around. Hua Zhenghai will completely vent his anger on them. Yeah, that's Hua Xiqian's way of doing things. He's always been ruthless. Qin Chu never had a high opinion of him. Oh right, honey, I have something to ask you. What is it? It's Su Yu's birthday next Friday. He invited me, do you think I should go? Hua Min didn't want to hide anything from Qin Chu, so he asked for his opinion in advance. What about you? Do you want to go or not? Qin Chu asked gently. Chapter 888. Tell me the truth. Yeah. Qin Chu nodded. I don't want to go, because Su Yu and I aren't close enough to celebrate each other's birthdays. I don't know why he invited me, but even if I don't want to go, I still have to go. It's because he gave me something on my birthday, and I want to return it to him. What is it? Qin Chu was slightly surprised. Hua Min never mentioned it to him, maybe because he didn't want Qin Chu to get jealous. Hua Min took out a bullet shell from her purse. This is it. Qin Chu carefully picked up the bullet shell and looked at it. There was nothing special about it. Yeah, he stopped my car on the way here and gave me this. He said it was a wish for me, and that if I ever needed his help, he would definitely help me. Then he really put in a lot of effort. Qin Chu said with a hint of jealousy. Hua Min leaned on Qin Chu's shoulder with a smile. Hey, is Mr. Qin jealous? Would you believe me if I said no? Nope. So be it. Qin Chu lovingly patted her head. Actually, I know that this is pretty expensive, and I've been looking for a chance to return it to him. Since it's his birthday, I'll come back right after I give it to him. That way, I'll be able to fulfill my wish. Sounds good, but there's something you need to pay attention to, Qin Chu gently reminded her. What is it? Hua Min looked at Qin Chu in confusion. Su Yu is a famous person in the city, and there'll be a lot of media coverage on his birthday. Don't let anyone catch on to you. I'm afraid that someone will use this opportunity to create hype. Plus, my dad cares about his reputation a lot. If our personal matters affect the company, he might have a biased opinion of you. Qin Chu spoke very seriously. Without being pretentious, Qin Yuman's attitude towards Hua Min was much better now, and he had already accepted it. If there was any negative news because of this, his grandfather would be estranged. He could ignore his mother's opinion, but he still had to consider his grandfather's opinion. After all, Qin Chu still respected his father very much. Hua Min completely understood what he meant. They could go to his birthday party. It didn't matter if they had a meal together. But don't let the media get hold of any information that can be used against you. If they magnify it, it won't be good for your image. After all, everyone was a public figure now, especially since GK Film and Television and Imperial Star were competitors. I understand. Hua Min nodded. The next morning, as soon as Hua Min arrived at the hospital, she received a call from her sister Ingzi, saying that Ni Yang was throwing a tantrum and wanted her to take a look. Hua Min was wearing a white lab coat and black-rimmed glasses. When she went up to the top floor, and Yang had already changed into casual clothes and was about to go out. Where are you going dressed like this? Sister Huamin, you're just in time. I've been bored to death for the past few days, I want to go out for a walk. No. Huamin stopped him. Huamin, even you don't understand me. Yang was a bit surprised. It's not that I don't understand you, I have to be responsible for you, so, are you going to tell me? What's wrong with me? Or else I'll leave the hospital right now, I don't want to live here anymore. I'm going crazy, I don't like doctors, I want to go home, Yang threatened. Sister Ingzi looked conflicted, Huamin also remained silent. What? Are you guys still going to hide it from me? Tell me, even if it's cancer, I'm not afraid. I've lived long enough. Hurry up and tell me, don't hide it from me like I'm a child. I want to know about the surgery anyway, unless one of you can sign it for me. Yang felt like something was wrong these past few days, he felt like the medical staff was too careful with him. Sister Ingzi wasn't in a good mood either, and Huamin even checked on him 3 times a day. Who would believe that he just had indigestion? Chapter 889. Change out of your clothes and I'll tell you, Huamin said calmly. A young lady. Sister Ingzi seemed worried. It's okay, Sister Ingzi, I'll talk to him. You can leave first. Huamin nodded at Sister Ingzi, and Yang was more obedient. He went to the bathroom to change out of his casual clothes, put on a hospital gown, and sat down. Tell me, what's wrong with you? Don't lie to me. To put it bluntly, your liver is failing, and you need a small liver transplant. A liver transplant? Is it liver cancer? Yang looked up calmly. It's not liver cancer, it's a more troublesome type of cirrhosis. Because it's in the middle and late stages, you need a liver transplant. It's that serious, is there a kidney transplant? Yes, I found one. So soon. Yang obviously didn't believe him. Of course, when have I ever lied to you? Then, when is the surgery? Within 5 days. After a series of tests, the surgery will be done. After the surgery, I'll be cured. Yes. It's that simple. Yes, it's that simple. After Huamin finished speaking, Yang still felt unsure, he looked at Huamin suspiciously. Huamin smiled. Don't look at me like that, I'm not lying to you. But you don't have to be in such a hurry. I thought I had a terminal illness. The main problem is that your liver is failing, and it's affecting your digestive system. If you don't get the surgery in time, it'll affect your appetite and your weight. That's the main problem. Okay. I don't know much about professional stuff, but from what you've said, it shouldn't be a big problem. Of course, don't worry about it, Huamin comforted him. After talking to Yang, the kid calmed down a lot and didn't want to go out anymore. When Huamin walked out of the room, Sister Ingzi immediately went up to him. How is it? A young lady. He's fine. Don't worry. He's using Weibo and interacting with his fans, Huamin said with a smile. Did he have any reaction after he knew? No. It's not a life-threatening illness to begin with. Why are you making a fuss over nothing? That's great. Thank you, a young lady. Why are you thanking me? It's because the liver donor is great. That's why he was able to perform the surgery so quickly. Yeah, who is the donor? I plan to give her a sum of money as compensation. After all, she helped Yang. Hearing Sister Ingzi's words, Huamin shook his head. No need, she won't ask for money. You don't want money. Sister Ingzi looked even more confused. Forget it. I'll tell you about it later. I'm going to get busy. Call me if you need anything. Hua Min was busy at South Side for the entire day. During this time, Hua Xichen sent a WeChat message, saying that Hua Zhenghai had investigated the matter and found out that it was true. The Hua family's power structure had changed drastically. Shen Jiani and her daughters had been banished to the cold palace. They were grounded by Hua Zhenghai and weren't allowed to go out. His will was about to be changed. Hua Zhenghai also said that on the day of the change, Hua Min had to be present. Mian, the two of us can take their share of the cake. How does that sound? Hua Xichen sent a WeChat message. I don't want the cake. It's not mine to begin with. I'll give it all to you. Hua Min wasn't greedy. She didn't want a single cent from the Hua family. Plus, she wasn't Hua Zhenghai's daughter to begin with. You don't want the money. Are you stupid? Hua Xichen sent a WeChat message. Money isn't a good thing. It'll burn you if you have too much. I don't want things that aren't mine. You sound like you're not a member of the Hua family. Hua Xichen said meaningfully. Hua Min began to feel conflicted. Did Hua Xichen know about her background or not? If he did, how much did he know? Did he know more than she did? Chapter 890. Ha! Why aren't you talking? Hua Xichen sent her another WeChat message. Hua Xichen, you seem to know a lot of secrets. Hua Min used to, a lot, at once to test Hua Xichen and see how much he knew. Ha! I do know a lot. To her surprise, Hua Xichen didn't deny it. Hua Min felt her heart race. Maybe she could get all the information she wanted from Hua Xichen. Nervously holding her phone, she sent him another WeChat message. How much do you know? How much do you want me to know? Hua Xichen was still beating around the bush. How do I know how much you know? Then what do you want me to know? I know too much. What do you want to know? Hua Xichen was quite arrogant. The truth was, Hua Min didn't want to alert him because she didn't want him to trick her. Therefore, she asked subtly, actually, I just want to know about something that happened more than 20 years ago. Everyone says that my mom ran away with Hua Zhenghai's chauffeur. Uncle Jing was the Hua family's chauffeur back then, but I don't think there's anything wrong with them falling in love. I should have asked Uncle Jing about this, but unfortunately, he's not here anymore. Some things are too old to be verified. Hua Xichen chuckled at her words. Why are you laughing? Actually, Jingde's death might be a good thing for you. What do you mean? Uncle Jing died because of me. How sad am I? Because of this, Hua Min was forced to separate from Qin Chu for 7 years. Now that Hua Xichen said it was a good thing, she couldn't accept it. What I mean is, if Jingde didn't die, you might have died instead. It's because he saved me that I've felt guilty for the rest of my life. How do you know he did it to save you? Maybe he was the target all along. Besides, you may not know Jingde well. I only remember that my father and my mother both said that he was very shrewd. How is that possible? I was the one that was hit by that car. Hua Xichen, you can't slander Uncle Jing. He's no longer alive, we should respect the dead. Hua Min clearly remembered the situation at that time. Therefore, Hua Xichen's reasoning made her very angry. She couldn't accept such extreme words at the moment. Hua Xichen chuckled softly. Ha, don't get too worked up. I was just joking. Seeing that Hua Min was a little agitated, Hua Xichen didn't dwell on the matter any longer. So, do you want to come when the old man changes his will? No. Hua Min was still determined. But from what I know about the old man, if you don't come, he'll probably give you a share, Hua Xichen added. I don't want it even if he gives it to me. Can I give it up? Okay. Chin Chu really didn't mistreat you. I can tell from the way you sound like you're rich. Fine, then it's all mine, so I don't have to worry about whether or not I should kick you out of the game in the future. Hua Xiqian said half of the truth and stopped texting. Hua Min felt chills all over her body. She was just testing Hua Xiqian, but he knew a lot. She had never doubted Uncle Jing's character. After all, he had been very good to them all these years. He didn't give Hua Mian a hard time at all. However, Hua Min knew that Hua Xiqian wasn't the kind of person who would spout nonsense. He must have his reasons for saying what he said. If what he said was true, then there might be more to what happened all those years ago. She thought it was a scheme set up by the Qin family to kill her. Uncle Jing only blocked it, but Hua Xiqian was saying that Uncle Jing was the enemy's target. Not her. If Uncle Jing didn't die, then she would have died. Uncle Jing wasn't as good as she thought. If this was before, Hua Min wouldn't have doubted Uncle Jing, who had saved her life. But now, everything was really hard to say because it was too complicated and confusing. Uncle Jing was the person who knew her background the best, but he kept it a secret all these years. And in Dong Tao Town, everyone who knew the truth died a horrible death. Maybe there really was a terrifying mastermind behind all of this? Maybe Uncle Jing's death had something to do with this. And what about Chin Chu's parents? Was he just a scapegoat on the surface? Were they being used? At this thought, Hua Min shuddered. It was too scary. What kind of person could plan a conspiracy for 20 years and control everything? After work, she drove straight back to Sky Blessing Court. After Jixin left, she wanted to spend more time with her mother. You're off work. Young Meirong's eyes were filled with joy when she saw her daughter. Chapter 891. Emichim, are you tired? You've been so busy lately. Hua Min shook her head. I'm not tired, I'm not as busy as you think. Young Meirong took out an apple, washed it, and handed it to Hua Min. Thank you, Mom. She smiled sweetly. Jixin called me, he's already here. He said it's pretty nice there. Emichim, he sent me a WeChat message too. I saw the photos, the environment is really nice. Mom, don't be angry. Technology is so advanced nowadays, video calls are very convenient. I know, I don't miss him, I miss you. You don't have a child, I'm worried sick. Young Meirong was worried sick about Hua Min's pregnancy, so she always talked about it. Mom. Lingling took me to see a Chinese doctor the other day, I'm taking medicine now. Don't worry, I'll have a baby soon. The doctor said that I have a cold body and can't get pregnant, but they didn't say that I can't get pregnant. It's not a big problem. That's good, take your medicine on time and take care of yourself. Also, tell the hospital not to work at night, it's not good for your health. I know. Mom, oh, right, Mom, who named me back then? Why is it Hua Min? Young Meirong sat down on the sofa next to her and tried to remember. At that time, I remember that I named you Hua Yunyun. Pfft, that's so old-fashioned. Hua Min almost spat out the apple. If she was named Hua Yunyun now, Chin Chu would probably laugh at her. Yeah. Your Uncle Jing said it wasn't special enough. He said he wanted to give you a special name. Uncle Jing, why did he have to give me a special name? Hua Min looked at her mother in confusion. She felt more and more that Uncle Jing had a lot of secrets. Why didn't she realize it before? Was it really like Hua Zhenghai said, that Uncle Jing was very shrewd? Who knows? You were different from Jixin. Jixin would go to sleep after drinking milk, but you couldn't. You were always crying before you were a month old, and you were very loud. We couldn't sleep well. Later, your Uncle Jing said. why don't we call you Huamin? Mean, as in sleep. I hope you'll be able to sleep well in the future. That's how we decided on your name. Mom, when I was born, didn't you find Dr. Lon from Dong Tao Town to deliver me? Then, after I was born, did Uncle Jing still keep in touch with Dr. Lon and the others? Why do you keep saying that they're distant relatives? Yang Meirong nodded. Yeah, we do. When I was in confinement, your Uncle Jing went to Dong Tao Town once and gave Dr. Lon some of our local specialties. And then? Does Uncle Jing return to Dong Tao Town often? Huamin asked. It's okay, quite often. He had to help you with some miscellaneous paperwork and stuff. Who knows? Anyway, when I was in confinement, your Uncle Jing was the one running around. Yang Meirong didn't seem to know much about these things. Most of the time, she followed Jing's orders. Mom, do you still have Uncle Jing's belongings? I want to take a look. Why would you look at it? It's bad luck. Yang Meirong seemed unhappy. I'm a doctor, why would I believe in those things? Mom, help me look for it, I miss Uncle Jing. Wait here. I'll go look for it. I don't think there's anything left, just a small box. Then, Yang Meirong went upstairs and soon came back down with a small box. Huamin smiled. Mom, can you heat up a glass of milk for me? I want to drink it. Sure, wait here. After sending her mother away, Huamin quickly opened the small black box and began to look through Uncle Jing's belongings. She tried to find some clues, because she was getting more and more curious, and wanted to know what happened back then. Chapter 892. The result was very disappointing. There were only a few things in the old box. An old-fashioned razor and a flashlight. These were all things that Uncle Jing often used when he was alive. There was also an old cell phone. It was the oldest model and was equivalent to an old man's phone. It couldn't be turned on anymore. Huamin secretly took out the cell phone and put it in her bag. If she wanted to take out the cell phone's chip, she would have to find a professional. Perhaps she would be able to find out who Uncle Jing was with before and after the accident 7 years ago. There was also half a pack of unfinished cigarettes. It was a rather old brand. The kind that cost 5 yuan a pack. Beside it was a lighter. It seemed that her mother still missed Uncle Jing, so she kept these things. At the bottom was a book that Uncle Jing often read. It was very funny. It wasn't a classic book, nor was it a more exciting martial arts novel. It was a fortune-telling book, the kind that didn't ask for help. Huamin flipped it open and saw that there were fortune-telling, and the 12 zodiac signs. These had always been popular in the countryside, because most of the villagers believed in these so-called fortune-telling. Huamin remembered that Uncle Jing used to love reading it. Sometimes, he would look at the almanac before going out. She thought that this kind of book wouldn't have any clues. Unintentionally, Huamin flipped to the calendar of the month she was born. On the perpetual calendar, it was September 18, 1992. Someone had circled it with a pen. This wasn't strange. After all, it was Huamin's birthday. It was normal for Uncle Jing to mark it for her. But the strangest thing was that at the bottom of the book, there were 3 words written in black with a ballpoint pen. Regret. Only the words, regret. The handwriting was a little messy. It was obvious that it was written by Uncle Jing. When they were organizing the belongings, no one looked through it carefully, so they didn't find it. Now, it seemed that Uncle Jing was referring to regret. Was it because he knew that she wasn't Yang Meirong's child and brought her back? Or was there something else? Huamin had more questions when he found this. The milk is ready, Mian. Huamin immediately closed the small box when he heard the noise. Thank you, Mom. She took the milk and drank it slowly. Yang Meirong glanced at Jingda's belongings with a sad look in her eyes. This guy doesn't have the life to enjoy a good life. In the past, he raised our entire family by himself. Now that our lives are better, he's gone. How ironic. Yang Meirong sighed. Mom. Uncle Jing didn't have any savings these years. That's not true. He's just a chauffeur. It's already good enough that he can support his family. Before the accident, he told me that he wanted to partner up with someone to do something. In the end, the accident happened. At the end of the day, he just doesn't have the life of a rich man. Huamin lowered her head and didn't say anything. She remembered Hua Xiqin mentioning that Hua Zhenghai had given Jingde 200,000 yuan. It seemed that Jingde had never taken out the money to give to his mother. Therefore, she also suspected that the flow of money had something to do with her background. Uncle Jing seemed to be in contact with someone behind mother's back. She stayed at her mother's house until late at night. She didn't leave until Qin Chu came to pick her up. Huamin didn't mention the phone and the belongings to Qin Chu. This was because she heard from Qin Chu and Rick that Qin Chu had been investigating this incident. However, this incident was very strange. People kept disappearing, therefore, Huamin didn't want Qin Chu to take any more risks because of her. Honey, what are you thinking about? Qin Chu asked gently when he saw that she was a little distracted. Nothing. I just miss Jixin. Huamin changed the subject. Didn't Jixin send you a WeChat message? He's settled down over there. Everything is fine. Yeah, he told me. Huamin nodded. The couple went home and went to bed early. The next afternoon, Huamin took advantage of the lunch break to go find Jiang Xiaowei at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Although Jiang Xiaowei was pregnant, she didn't hesitate at all and continued to work at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Wei Liao was also at the company during the day. The couple was busy with their own work. Jiang Xiaowei was very happy to see Huamin. She grabbed his hand and said, "We know each other so well. I was just about to ask you out for lunch. Let's go, we have authentic Cantonese food downstairs." Before Huamin could say anything, Jiang Xiaowei pulled Huamin all the way to the restaurant downstairs. "Xiaowei, I'm here today because I need your help." Chapter 893. Go ahead. Jiang Xiaowei nodded. Huamin took out a cell phone from her pocket and placed it on the table. Pfft. This is way too old. Don't tell me this is your old cell phone. Jiang Xiaowei looked at the old Nokia cell phone that hadn't appeared on the market for many years. Her jaw dropped. No, it's an old friend of mine. He's no longer around, but there seems to be some clues in the phone. Now the phone is turned off and seems to be broken. Can you get someone to check the call history of this phone for me? Call history. Take out the card and go to the business hall. Jiang Xiaowei was surprised. Huamin shook her head. There's no card. There was no card when I got it. No card. Jiang Xiaowei was confused. Huamin knew it wasn't that simple. She didn't think it was a coincidence that the card in the cell phone was missing. That was why she wanted to know who else Uncle Jing was in contact with before and after the accident. So, can you check it out? Can you find a programming expert? Huamin had a glimmer of hope. Jiang Xiaowei picked up the cell phone and looked at it. Let's try. I can't guarantee anything. We do have a top programming expert in the city bureau. I have a good relationship with him. I'll show it to him. Alright, then I'll have to trouble you. Don't mention it. Don't you always help me? Jiang Xiaowei smiled. How have you been recently? You don't have morning sickness or anything like that, right? No. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll eat and drink when I want to. That's good. You don't have to suffer. The wedding is on the 1st of January. You have to be there. Of course. By the way, are you going to Su Yu's birthday cocktail party next week? Jiang Xiaowei suddenly asked. I haven't decided yet. I'll see. In fact, Huamin wanted to keep a low profile and not let anyone know. Qin Chu was right. Her and Su Yu's identities were very sensitive, so it was better not to make a big deal out of it. For this reason, she did not tell Jiang Xiaowei directly. That's a good idea. You're now a young lady of GK, and it's hard to say if someone takes a picture of you. It's good that you don't come, but Su Yu will probably be very disappointed. Wei Liao said that he's changed a lot recently. He rarely gets involved in scandals and spends most of his time working at the corporation. It seems like he's turned over a new leaf, and it's all thanks to you. What does it have to do with me? At the end of the day, his nature isn't bad, Huamin replied. That's true. Su Yu is really a difficult person to deal with. He looks wanton and unrestrained, but he's actually a good person. At first, I thought that he had an affair with Jian Tong, but later I found out that it was just a publicity stunt. Su Yu doesn't seem to be the same as before. The truth is, he has nothing to do with me. I don't really pay attention to his affairs. Huamin had always been aware of her identity, so she had always avoided any contact with Su Yu. She cherished her relationship with Qin Chu, so she constantly reminded herself to stay rational and not make any impulsive decisions. This is why I like you. You're so decisive, you're either black or white. There's no gray or ambiguity. If you like Qin Chu, you'll marry him regardless of the consequences. If you don't like Su Yu, you'll reject him. You don't give him hope or whet his appetite to show off your charm. So, Huamin, I really admire you. You're truly domineering and pretentious. After Jiang Xiaowei finished speaking, both of them laughed. That night, Huamin and Qin Chu returned to Sky Blessing Court to have dinner with their mother. To their surprise, Hua Zhenghai came. Why are you here? Huamin's attitude wasn't friendly when he saw him. Mian, don't misunderstand, I didn't ask someone to investigate. I went to the old house and heard from the neighbors that you guys moved to Sky Blessing Court, so I came to see you guys. Hua Zhenghai continued to pretend to be a loving father. Mr. Hua, you must be very busy at home, how do you have time to see us? Huamin's words were laced with sarcasm. It made Hua Zhenghai feel very awkward. Chapter 894. Mom, you probably don't know what happened to Mr. Hua's family, right? Huamin looked at Yang Meirong and asked. What happened? Yang Meirong looked confused. She really didn't know, and Huamin didn't mention it to her. Mr. Hua, do you want to tell her, or should I? Huamin looked at Hua Zhenghai with a sharp gaze. Hua Zhenghai didn't know what to say. If you can't say it, then I'll say it for you. That woman, Shen Jiani, betrayed Mr. Hua and met her lover for more than 20 years. Not only were they caught on camera, but Hua Si was also proven not to be Mr. Hua's son. What? Huamin said everything in one breath. Yang Meirong was completely dumbfounded. Hua Zhenghai took the opportunity to hold Yang Meirong's hand and said, Rongrong, you're the best. I was blind to believe that bitch, Shen Jiani. I'm so sorry for you and your mother. No, you're not sorry for me. You're sorry for my mom. Even though she was a mistress, she didn't want to break up your family. She was the only one who foolishly believed that it was love. Min knew his mother's difficulties. Even though she was also a mistress, she was different. Jiani did it for money, power, and the Hua family's fortune. Yang Meirong was trapped by love. Once, she wanted to die because Hua Zhenghai had a change of heart. Luckily, she met Jingde, and the two of them got together and lived a normal life. Mr. Hua, you can't be so snobbish. You gave up on my mother back then, so what's wrong with coming back to admit your mistake? Not all mistakes deserve to be forgiven. You can't come here to seek comfort just because Jiani hurt you. Our family doesn't sell Yunnan Baiyao, we can't heal your trauma. Everyone knew that Hua Min had a sharp tongue. Qin Chu quietly watched Hua Min show off. His wife's aura was indeed oppressive. That charm, that aura, it was simply too mesmerizing. Qin Chu almost couldn't help but laugh when he saw Hua Zhenghai's face darken and darken, then turn green again. How did his wife come up with such a rich vocabulary? What the hell? Ha! That's great. That's great. I didn't think that you would have such a day. I knew that Jiani wouldn't want to be left out. Yang Meirong smiled. Now that she had gotten her revenge, she felt much more relaxed. Rong Rong. I was blind. I'm sorry. Hua Zhenghai kept apologizing, then, he tilted his head to look at Hua Min and said, Mian, I didn't come here today to beg for your forgiveness. In fact, I came here to ask you to verify my new will. I've already decided to give a large portion of my assets to you and your daughter. I'm sorry, Mr. Hua, but we don't need money anymore. Maybe we used to be poor, but we're doing well now. My husband, Mr. Qin Chu, has given us a lot of food, clothing, and money, so we're not interested in your will. If you don't have a place to donate, then donate it to a welfare home or charity. Hua Min definitely wouldn't accept Hua Zhenghai's will. If it was before, she wouldn't have been so pretentious and would have just accepted it. However, now that she knew that she wasn't Hua Zhenghai's daughter, she wouldn't go against her conscience and take this kind of money. After all, she wasn't a woman like Jiani, who would do anything. Mian is right. We don't need money, so we don't need a will. The truth was, Hua Zhenghai wasn't that kind. The only reason he was willing to change his will was because he was tricked by Jiani. Moreover, he had already thought about it. If he could get on good terms with Hua Min in the future, then GK would be one of his backers. When the time came, he could use Qin Chu to deal with Hua Xiqian and take out everything that belonged to him. Therefore, he had to give Hua Min a taste of his own medicine. Unfortunately, Hua Min didn't buy it. Nephew Qin Chu, please help me. I really want to leave some money for them. If I'm gone, they'll have insurance. Hua Zhenghai stared at Qin Chu, who hadn't spoken yet. Chapter 895. Look at how fake Hua Zhenghai's words were. Qin Chu calmly replied, It's okay, Uncle Hua. I can take care of my wife, and I won't mistreat my mother-in-law. You're overthinking things. Qin Chu's words made Hua Zhenghai even more speechless. Hua Zhenghai was the one who gave him the cold shoulder, did you hear that? We don't care about your stupid money. Don't think you're so great just because you're rich. Let me tell you, it's useless. I was with you back then partly because of money, but after all these years, I've realized that no matter how much money you have, your happiness won't increase because of it. No matter how rich you are, you won't live to be 200 years old. Yang Meirong was also on her daughter's side. Hua Zhenghai saw that this family wasn't going to listen to him, so he got up and left. Mom, the whole family is in chaos right now. I don't know what he's up to. Don't open the door for him again, okay? I know, I only let him in because he said he wanted to talk to me about something important. If I knew he was like this, I would have kicked him out a long time ago. Hua Zhenghai really can't change his ways. He's always slandering your Uncle Jing, how shameless. Ha! Did he say anything to you about Uncle Jing? Hua Min immediately asked. Yeah, he always slandered your Uncle Jing in front of me. He said that your Uncle Jing is a shrewd person, and that he'll never be able to see through him, that he's always in the dark, and that he'll help people count the money after being sold. Oh, what's wrong? Yang Meirong asked curiously. Nothing, I'm just asking. Hua Min smiled and didn't ask any more questions. On the way back, Qin Chuk shook Hua Min's hand and asked with a smile, why are you so mysterious lately? Nothing. I feel like you're hiding something from me. Why would I? Hua Min immediately denied, feeling guilty. Really? Qin Chu obviously didn't believe him. I really didn't. Mr. Qin, I swear to God. Anyway, if I find out, I'll teach you a lesson. Qin Chu smirked and didn't say anything else. In the blink of an eye, Su Yu's birthday arrived. A few days before that, all the media began to report on it. Many people had been paying attention to it. They had thought that Su Yu would hold a grand birthday party at Imperial Star. But there was no movement. When Jian Tong, Mian, and the other female artists were interviewed, they all said that they didn't know about their boss's arrangements. The employees of Imperial Star were also tight-lipped about their boss's birthday. But the more it was like this, the more curious the media became. Su Yu's birthday party started at 6 p.m. in Su Yu's private villa. It was the villa with the most luxurious private aquarium in the country. Wei Liao had once joked about entering Su Yu's villa. It felt like following Ocean Park. Yes. There was tempered glass everywhere, and all kinds of marine life and tropical fish could be seen everywhere. It was so romantic to sleep in his house, but unfortunately, no woman could stay in Su Yu's mansion. Because he really didn't like strangers entering his personal space, even when Zhao Qingya was his favorite, she didn't receive such treatment. Su Yu's 28th birthday was very important to the Su family. At noon, Su Yu had lunch with his grandparents. Then, according to tradition, he went to the Su family's ancestral hall to offer incense and kowtow to his ancestors. At night, he came back to the villa and began the young people's celebration. Famous directors and actresses from all over the country arrived in Sea City. Luxury cars were parked outside Su Yu's private villa. However, because the villa was heavily guarded, the media couldn't get in. So, most of them hid outside anxiously. Wei Liao and Jiang Xiaowei attended the party. Tang Chuan had a new female partner. She was Chinese-Russian and was rumored to be the new favorite on the runway. She was 1.78 meters tall. Because the theme of the party was red, all the guests, regardless of gender, wore red. It was as festive as the Spring Festival. Su Yu wore a dark red casual shirt with black decorative stripes on his sleeves and chest. It was luxurious and elegant. There was a black jewel on his left ear, which shone brightly under the illumination of the lights. Holy shit, look, Lord Su is so handsome tonight. Tang Chuan exclaimed to Wei Liao and the others from afar. Chapter 896. Everyone looked over and saw Su Yu standing in the middle of the crowd with a glass of champagne in his hand. He kept looking at the door as if he was waiting for someone to arrive. Su Yu's private mansion had a 400-square-meter garden and was extremely luxurious. The style of the design was unprecedented as well. Many celebrities were shocked when they walked in and clicked their tongues in amazement. A red carpet was laid out from the entrance all the way to the front of the mansion. On the stage beside the swimming pool, a famous girl group was singing and dancing enthusiastically. Western food, red wine, champagne, and all kinds of drinks and food were everywhere. There were also countless flowers decorating the place. Extravagance and spending money had always been Su Yu's style. Although he didn't want to make it public, he didn't spend a lot of money. However, the decorations were not any less extravagant. It was still extremely luxurious and eye-catching. "Lord Su, you're so handsome today, I'm about to fall in love with you." Tang Chuan went over to tease him. "Stop bullshitting, if you don't have anything to do, help me receive more guests. I'm so busy that I'm going crazy." Su Yu was speechless. Those who weren't invited didn't know how they found out, so they arrived one after another. It was like the opening of a film festival. All the artists under Imperial Star were present. Even Annie Liang, who had already jumped ship, came. She was wearing a bright red gown and was dressed very flirtatiously. "Dr. Jiang, you're very beautiful today." Su Yu looked at Jiang Shaowei and smiled. "I've always been this beautiful, okay?" Jiang Shaowei held on to Wei Liao's arm. "How is it? When is young Master Wei coming out?" "The expected date is August next year." Wei Liao seemed to have a sense of superiority. After all, he was the first one to become a father out of all of them. "Hey, hurry up, who's that?" The girls went crazy. Su Yu and Wei Liao also looked toward the door. A man in a red tuxedo walked in. He didn't smile and his eyes were sharp. He was very good-looking, but everyone didn't seem to have seen him before. "Is that the new artist under Imperial Star? He's so handsome." "It can't be. Imperial Star didn't advertise it, but it's really good." "So cool, you're not even smiling," the girls whispered to each other. The man walked straight to Su Yu. Then, he stretched out his hand. "Lord Su, happy birthday. When did you return to China?" Su Yu was really surprised. This was Shen Mingxi, the son of the Beiyang Automobile Company. He was one of the 4 princes of the nation, along with Su Yu, Hua Xiqian, and Wei Liao. His looks and family background crushed Tang Chuan's, so Tang Chuan did not have a good impression of him. However, because he had been studying in England, very few people in China had seen him before. According to the rumors, he and Su Yu had a blind spot. Looking at it now, there was indeed some basis for it. "I just arrived last night. Why didn't you call in advance? I'll pick you up." "If I told you in the past, would it still be a surprise?" Shen Mingxi replied. Su Yu smiled. The two chatted for a while, and then Shen Mingxi walked in. "Pretentious guy, why is he back?" Tang Chuan looked unconvinced. "You don't hold a grudge over the rankings from back then, okay? He doesn't care about it, but you still can't forget it." Wei Liao laughed. "I can't take this lying down. Our families are about the same, but we lost because of our looks. If we're talking about looks, I'm more handsome than him, okay? Yeah, you're the most handsome person in the world." Then, Su Yu turned around and left. "Fuck, Lord Su, why do I feel like you're insulting me?" Tang Chuan complained behind him. Wei Liao and Jiang Shaowei were amused. "Huh. Old Wei, do you think Qin Chu will come? If your wife is being coveted, do you think you'd still go to her birthday party?" "Pfft, that's a good explanation. How big is that? If you don't like it, let's make a bet." "I bet a yacht that Qin Chu won't come." Wei Liao laughed. Chapter 897. I'm not betting. I'm scared that I won't even be able to put on my pants if I lose. But I have a feeling that Hua Min will come, Tang Chuan added. You're feeling. I think that Hua Min will divorce Lord Su. Wei Liao rolled his eyes at him. He felt that Tang Chuan's guesses were mostly unreliable. There were so many people at this kind of event. It wasn't appropriate for Huamin to come, right? Just then, a guest walked in and attracted attention again, Song Yisher. Why is she here? Tang Chuan was surprised to see Song Yisher. He didn't remember her being that close to Lord Su. Young Master Su, happy birthday. Song Yisher was wearing a pair of red wide-legged pants and a white short-sleeved shirt. Although it was early winter outside, Su Yu's mansion was filled with enthusiasm. Most of the guests were wearing summer clothes. Thank you. My father is out of town for a meeting, so I'm here on his behalf. Please forgive me, young Master Su. Song Yisher was indeed a social expert. Every frown and smile of hers was perfect and didn't make people feel uncomfortable. Mayor Song was very concerned about Su Yu's birthday. He told Song Yisher to come and bring a gift. That was because old Master Su had a lot of influence. Who would dare to offend his precious grandson? My father asked me to bring this to young Master Su. Song Yisher handed him a cylinder. Please thank Mayor Song for me. Su Yu was calm. He was used to dealing with these bureaucrats. I heard that. Young Master Su and Huamin are good friends. Song Yisher suddenly asked. Su Yu raised his head and looked at her quietly. He didn't know what she meant. Just then, Song Yisher added, Huamin and I are friends too. She's a nice person and I like her a lot. Oh, is that so? Su Yu's reaction was very indifferent. He didn't like people probing his relationship with Huamin. Or rather, he didn't think that he had anything to do with Huamin now. If I like someone, I won't say anything. Is there anything wrong with that? In the distance, Jiang Xiaowei looked at Song Yisher and whispered, I don't like this Song Yisher. Why? Wei Liao was a little surprised. There's no particular reason. It's just a feeling. It's the feeling I got at first sight. It's right that you don't like her. She might be Huamin's biggest rival. This woman is the apple of Mr. and Mrs. Qin's eye. She's Lady Qin's weapon. She's also the only woman who can come and go freely in the Qin manor and openly meet Qin Chu. Tang Chuan had always been well informed, so he began to dig up information about Song Yisher. A woman like her. Forget it. I don't think she's a match for my Hua. Jiang Xiaowei liked Huamin a lot, so she sometimes referred to her as my Hua in front of outsiders. It was an extremely intimate way of addressing her. Wei Liao smiled as well. I don't think she's a match for her either. There's no one who can defeat Huamin in front of Qin Chu, right? Wei Liao had personally witnessed Qin Chu's feelings for Huamin, so the couple echoed each other. Tang Chuan, on the other hand, whistled and said, I actually hope that she can defeat Huamin. Then, Huamin will be heartbroken and fall into the arms of my Lord Su. My heart aches for my Lord Su. Jiang Xiaowei, Wei Liao, fine, they had to give in to Tang Chuan's words. This guy always liked to watch the drama unfold. Not long after Song Yisher entered, Hua Xiqian arrived as well. He was wearing a red tuxedo and looked extremely flamboyant. Beside him was Mo Shui, who was wearing a red strapless evening gown. As soon as Mo Shui appeared, she became the center of attention once again. Many famous directors and producers surrounded her, as if they really wanted to work with her. Hua Xiqian and Su Yu stood on the side. Today's event is quite grand. I'm already being very low-key, Su Yu said with a smile as he took a sip of champagne. Will she be here? Who? Su Yu pretended not to know. You know, don't play dumb with me, okay? Ha. I'm not sure, she didn't say, but I invited her. Su Yu smiled bitterly. He really wanted Huamin to come, but Huamin probably wouldn't come. I'm guessing that girl from my family will come. Hua Xiqian smiled mysteriously. How do you know, did she tell you? Suyu asked with a glimmer of hope. Chapter 898. How's that possible? She's not the type of person to say things like that. I just think that even though she looks cold and sharp-tongued, she knows who's good to her and knows how to be grateful. I think she definitely knows how you feel about her. You gave her fireworks and a motorcade for her birthday. I don't think she won't show up. She'll at least say happy birthday. That's her personality. Hua Xiqian watched Huamin grow up. Even though they didn't interact much, he knew her personality very well. Therefore, he guessed that Huamin might show up. However, it was hard to say. After all, if she cared about Qin Chu's feelings, she might not show up. It was hard to say. When Suyu heard this, he stuck out his tongue and licked the corner of his lips. He didn't say anything. He used to think that birthdays were just for everyone to burn money to celebrate and that it was meaningless. However, this time, he suddenly felt that he had something to look forward to. If Huamin suddenly showed up and said happy birthday, he would be very happy, right? After all, the person who said happy birthday was too important to him. However, he also knew that if Huamin didn't want Qin Chu to be unhappy, she might not show up. After all, to Huamin, no one was more important than Qin Chu. Mo Shui was surrounded by a group of people asking for autographs and photos. Then, they posted it on their WeChat moments to show off. Hua Xiqian was bored, so he walked up to Song Yisher with a glass of wine in his hand. Hey, Miss Song. Young Master Hua. You're so beautiful today. I always thought that you were the most exquisite woman I've ever seen. Thank you, but if Miss Mo hears this, she'll probably be jealous, right? Song Yisher smiled. No, I'm telling the truth. Shui won't be jealous. Song Yisher smiled but didn't say anything. I heard that Miss Song lived with the Qin family for more than a year when she was young. Song Yisher's expression changed. Young Master Hua, you sure know a lot. Oh. I heard about it by accident, but I'm confused. Miss Song was cute when she was young, right? If she lived with the Qin family for so long, why didn't she and Qin Chu flirt? As soon as she finished speaking, Song Yisher couldn't hold it in anymore. She smiled awkwardly. Maybe. Qin Chu doesn't like me. Who said so? All the men in the world like beautiful women. But Qin Chu is an exception. In his eyes, Huamian is the perfect one, right? After Song Yisher finished speaking, she picked up her glass and took a sip of champagne. The look in her eyes was complicated. President Su, we can cut the cake now, the female assistant beside him reminded him. Suyu nodded and looked at the door, but there was still no one. Everyone was here, so Suyu turned around and walked into the center of the stage. The staff pushed out a 7-layered cake. It was red and beautifully decorated. Each layer had a different design. There were roses, sports cars, boats, and so on. Everyone crowded around him. There were 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. It was a sea of people. When Siu of course raised his hand, all the spotlights focused on him. Then, he symbolically cut the cake, and fireworks began to explode. The girls screamed and took out their cell phones to record videos. A few famous female celebrities from Imperial Star surrounded Suyu and sang happy birthday songs. Many men were envious of this scene. If I were Lord Su, I would sleep with one a day, 365 a year, and 3 years in a row. Then, I'd be able to get the Guinness Book of Best One-Night Dating record, ha ha ha. Tang Chuan laughed. If he were as evil as you, he wouldn't be Suyu. Wei Liao sighed. Lord Su doesn't seem to be in a good mood, Jiang Xiaowei said as she looked at Suyu of the crowd. Isn't that because the person he wants to see isn't here yet? A few people were watching from the side, most people were gathered in the middle of the stage. No one noticed a petite figure taking advantage of the chaos. She snuck into Suyu's mansion. After drinking with everyone, Suyu of the crowd sat down on a bench by the pool. Just then, his cell phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and was pleasantly surprised. He immediately picked it up. "Hello. I'm at the southeast corner of your house. There are a lot of reporters outside. Jump over the wall, I have something to tell you." After saying this, Huamin of the crowd hung up. She looked around Suyu's mansion and found a secluded area in the southeast corner. There were a few Chinese parasol trees, and it was a blind spot to prevent paparazzi from taking photos. That was why she called Suyu. Chapter 899. After answering Huamin's call, Suyu felt his heart pounding wildly. She really did come. He didn't wait in vain. Suyu quietly walked to the female assistant. "I'm going out for a bit. If someone looks for me, tell them I'm tired and I'm going back to my room to rest." "Okay, President Su." The female assistant nodded. Then, Suyu put on a black jacket to cover up the red on his body. Then, while no one was looking, he walked to the southeast corner. There were no lights there, so it was completely dark. Luckily, the wall wasn't very high. Suyu used to be in the military, so he was very agile. He easily climbed up the wall. As expected, when he leaned over the wall, he saw Huamin in the corner. She was also wearing red. Although it was just a small cotton jacket, it was still very cute. "Hey, stupid girl, you're late. I already finished cutting the cake," he whispered as he leaned over the wall. Huamin was startled. She looked up and waved her hand. "Hurry up and come down. Don't let anyone take a picture of us." "What are you afraid of? We're not having an affair." After speaking, Suyu lightly jumped down from the wall that was about 2 meters high. His movements were clean and nimble. Huamin immediately sweated. "You're overthinking it. Take out the present." "What? Who asks for a present? Why are you here if you don't bring a present?" Suyu looked at Huamin, amused. She brought the scarf and hat that Xia Wan knitted for her. She also brought a pair of white and furry gloves. There were also 2 rabbit ears on the hat. Then, she wore a pair of black pencil pants and a bright red cotton jacket. She looked very cute. Huamin heard that Suyu's party was red-themed. She looked through her wardrobe. Most of the red clothes were summer dresses and dresses. She would definitely freeze to death if she wore it. Then, he didn't dare to drive his Audi R8 because he was afraid that the media would take pictures of the license plate number. She took a taxi and circled around Suyu's villa several times before she found such a secret place. Huamin carefully removed the bullet shell from his palm and handed it over. "Here. What are you doing?" Suyu was a little surprised. He looked at her and refused to take it. "Actually, I didn't want it when you gave it to me last time because it was too expensive. So, I wanted to take the opportunity to return it to you on your birthday. There's no reason for me to take back what I've given away. Since I gave it to you, it's yours. If you think it's too valuable, you can never use it. But you can't humiliate me like this." Suyu said coldly. Huamin explained, "I didn't mean to humiliate you. Don't overthink it. Then take it back." Suyu said with a cold face. Huamin saw that he couldn't continue to insist, so she had no choice but to put it back. Suyu was right. At most, she wouldn't have to use this promise for the rest of her life, so... "You didn't bring any other gifts?" Suyu crossed his arms and deliberately questioned her angrily. Huamin rubbed her forehead awkwardly. Then, she thought for a moment and said, "I got it." Wait a second, okay. She lowered her head and took out her wallet. She pulled out a stack of cash. It was exactly 5,000 yuan. She took it out this morning to buy a computer for Shui Shui. Now, it seemed that giving money was a good idea when she didn't have any gifts to give. Here, happy birthday. Buy whatever you like to eat. Su Yu was speechless. Take it, you're welcome. Huamin, I want to fucking strangle you, Su Yu said with a dark face. Huamin was the first woman to give Su Yu money on his birthday. Everyone knew that Su Yu didn't lack money. In the past, women tried to please him. They gave him ties, socks, cufflinks, brooches, watches, and rings. Some even gave him condoms and condoms. But who would give him money? To Su Yu, money was the most worthless thing in the world. Do you think it's too little? I only have this much right now. Do you want me to withdraw some more for you later? Is there an ATM nearby? Huamin asked in all seriousness. Su Yu was so angry that he was about to spit fire. If the person in front of him wasn't Huamin, he really wanted to send him flying with a kick. So, you called me and asked me to jump over the wall to see you, and you wanted to give me this? Su Yu asked with a dark face. Chapter 900. Huamin awkwardly coughed twice. Ahem, as the saying goes, plans can't keep up with changes. Seriously, her plan was to return the bullet's shell. She told Qin Chu the same thing, but he didn't want it. So, she really didn't prepare any gifts. It should be hard to choose a gift for Su Yu, right? He basically received high-end sports cars, villas, and all kinds of expensive antiques. She heard that on his birthday last year, a coal mine owner tried to curry favor with the Su family. He actually gave him a huge golden snake. Was it because Su Yu's zodiac sign was a snake? He was simply a nouveau riche. I'm sorry, if you don't want money, then I really don't have anything else. Huamin awkwardly explained. Su Yu looked down at Huamin, who was wearing a hat and a thick cotton-padded jacket. The more he looked at her, the cuter she was. Then, on impulse, before Huamin could say anything, he suddenly picked her up with both hands. Then, he spun her around 3 times. Huamin was scared out of her wits. Just as she was about to faint, he put her down. Okay, I got my birthday present, Su Yu said confidently. To him, being able to greedily hug Huamin was already very good, very good. He didn't have any desire, he just carried her and spun her around 3 times. Without any warning, Huamin was a little dumbfounded. Go back, it's pretty cold. Su Yu knew that he couldn't keep her for too long. With Huamin's current status, it was dangerous. The longer he stayed, the more dangerous it would be. If someone saw him, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. After speaking, Su Yu turned around and left. Su Yu! Huamin suddenly shouted. Su Yu stopped in his tracks, but he didn't turn around. Happy birthday, Huamin said slowly as he stared at Su Yu's tall and handsome back. Su Yu still didn't turn around. Instead, he raised his right hand and made an OK gesture. Then, he flipped over the wall in an extremely nimble manner. Huamin took out his phone and looked at the time. It was about 8:20 in the evening. She ran all the way out of the neighborhood, then stopped a taxi and left. Su Yu was in a good mood after jumping back over the wall. No one seemed to have noticed Su Yu's temporary absence. Only a few people asked about it, and the female assistant told them what he had told her. Go get me a carton of wine. Open it all. Your wine is that? The female assistant was slightly surprised. Yes, that one. After saying that, Su Yu turned around and left. The female assistant was secretly surprised. Every bottle of Su Yu's wine collection was worth more than 500,000 yuan. There were only 12 bottles in one box, which meant that there was more than 6 million yuan worth of wine. God, this is crazy. Did something good happen to President Su? The female assistant thought to herself. Because of Huamin's arrival, Su was in a good mood. When he came back, he immediately opened a carton of expensive Lafite. Everyone was having even more fun. On the stage, Jian Tong was singing. She was a singer from a talent show and won first place that year. Later, because the recording industry wasn't ideal, she changed careers and became an actress. Now, she was doing very well. However, people rarely heard her sing. She sang a very affectionate rendition of Yang Zhongwei's The Onion. Her voice was very beautiful. The entire audience was very engrossed and listened very seriously. When she sang to the climax, Jian Tong looked at Su Yu, who wasn't far away, affectionately. Is Jian Tong trying to express something to you? Tang Chuan asked with a smile. Su Yu didn't say anything. He just quietly listened to the song. Why did he feel like the song was talking about him? Wei Liao interjected, I think she's singing about our Lord Su's situation. Su Yu smiled helplessly. Just then, someone suddenly shouted, oh no, someone jumped off the building. After he said that, everyone panicked. Su Yu immediately stood up. Everyone ran towards Su Yu's mansion. Chapter 901. When Su Yu arrived, he heard a lot of people whispering. A young woman was lying on the ground with blood under her head. She wasn't wearing a single piece of clothing, she was completely naked and white. What's going on? I don't know, I heard a bang and she jumped down. Who is this person? Does anyone know her? Su Yu looked around and asked. A female artist under Imperial Star slowly walked up and said in a low voice, President Su, I really want to know her. Who is she? Su Yu felt uneasy that a strange woman jumped off a building in his own home. She's Zhao Qingya's younger sister, Zhao Xia. I saw Zhao Qingya bring her to the company before, the female artist whispered. Zhao Qingya's younger sister? What's she doing here? Su Yu had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. Someone in the crowd called the police, and the police quickly arrived. The leader was Gao Ran. Since he heard that there was a murder, as the captain, Gao Ran naturally had to lead the team. Young Master Su, I'm sorry, someone called the police and said that someone jumped off a building. Gao Ran was wearing a black police uniform as he spoke to Su Yu with a serious expression on his face. Yeah, right here. Su Yu pointed at the woman's body. Gao Ran walked over with his subordinates. Everyone, make way, we're going to seal off the scene. Please cooperate. Then, the crowd slowly dispersed. It was supposed to be a birthday party, but because of a strange woman jumping off a building, things became complicated. A few female artists whispered among themselves, is Zhao Qingya's younger sister here to avenge her sister? She doesn't have to risk her life for revenge, does she? That's too scary. Plus, Zhao Qingya was never a good person. President Su did the right thing by terminating her contract. What's there to avenge? Why wasn't the woman wearing any clothes? Did something happen in the bedroom? Most of the guests left because of this incident. A few people who were close to Su Yu stayed behind to wait for the latest developments. Gao Ran led the officers from the Major Crimes Division to do a thorough search. They waited outside for about an hour. Then, Gao Ran came downstairs with his men. He walked up to Su Yu and said in a serious tone, Young Master Su, I'm sorry, but we found a large amount of Bing powder, some tools, and the victim's clothes in your bedroom upstairs. Because the victim jumped off the building in your bedroom, we suspect that this incident has something to do with you. Please come with us to assist with the investigation. What? Did you make a mistake? Captain Gao. Tang Chuan was furious. Suyu had something to do with this. How was that possible? He didn't believe that Suyu would push a woman he didn't even know off the building. Captain Gao, I didn't even go into the bedroom. Even if something happened to her in there, you can't blame it on me, right? Gao Ran stared at Suyu's face and said, we found from your home CCTV that you disappeared from the footage between 8:00 p.m. and 8:20 p.m. Everyone was there, but you were the only one missing. When we checked the CCTV footage, we found that the footage was broken. A few people also said that they asked your assistant, who said that you weren't feeling well and went to the bedroom to rest. The timing matches, so we have reason to suspect that you have the time and motive to commit the crime. Unless you can tell us where you went during that time. Suyu was at a loss for words. During that time, he jumped off the wall to see Huamin. Then, he told his assistant that if anyone asked, he was going to the bedroom to rest. Why did Suyu feel like he was set up? How could it be so coincidental? Where were you during that time? Gao Ran questioned. Tell us, Lord Su. It's okay, we all believe you, Tang Chuan egged Suyu on. They all believed that Suyu wouldn't play with a woman in the bedroom, let alone play with things that couldn't be touched. You didn't really go into the bedroom, did you? Jiang Xiaowei looked at Suyu and asked with a frown. I didn't go back in the bedroom, Suyu denied. Then where were you, and who were you with? You can provide witnesses, and we will collect evidence. Gao Ran looked at Suyu and continued. Suyu lowered his head, and his heart was in turmoil. If he didn't explain, it would be troublesome. He would be considered the murderer. If he explained, then Huamin's reputation. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.